patient safety programme. The Patients Association says these themes have already been developed in detail in the recent public inquiry into the scandal at Mid Staffordshire. It says what's needed now is action rather than more reports.
Police are appealing for witnesses to an indecent assault in Dunstable. A 29-year-old woman was grabbed by a man at the junction of Bull Pond Lane and Hawthorne Close. The offender is described as black. He's 5 feet 5 inches tall with short dark hair and wore black trousers, a black top and black trainers. A new campaign's been launched to raise awareness of domestic violence in Milton Keynes. There were more than 32,000 cases in the Thames Valley area between 2011 and 2012, with 5,500 incidents reported in Milton Keynes alone. MK Act, which helps survivors of domestic abuse in the area, believes the real figure could be much higher. More on this coming up next with Iain Lee. There's more evidence that the economic recovery is gathering pace, this time from Britain's leading shops, who've reported the best sales figures in the month of July for 7 years. The British Retail Consortium said that sales grew by 2.2% compared with July last year. Our personal finance correspondent Simon Gompetz has the details.
It wasn't just growing optimism which turned July into a bumper month in the shops. It was the sunny weather, tempting shoppers outside and prompting the inevitable rush to barbecue. So food did well, with sausages and burgers topping the list, and clothing was strong. Sandals, shorts and summer dresses flew off the shelves. There was a downside. There wasn't much interest in furniture and flooring, and the growth in online shopping moderated. There were fewer people sitting inside on the computer, and a lot of the business was driven by discounting.
In sport, England have retained the Ashes and are now focused on winning the series outright. That's according to their captain, Alistair Cook. His side drew the third test at Old Trafford yesterday, giving them an unassailable 2-0 lead with 2 tests remaining. The weather dry with bright or sunny spells and a top temperature of 23 degrees Celsius. That's 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Morning, Catherine.
Morning. Hello.
Morning.
Hiya.
I'm firing blanks today.
Right.
I'm just firing blanks. I'm feeling a little bit... can you give me anything to... give me a bit of...
What, a pep talk?
Yes. That's exactly what I need. Pep talk. Go
OK,
on.
pep talk. What day is it? Tuesday?
It's Tuesday the 6th of August. I need a pep talk.
OK, listen up, champ. It's day 2 of this week. You're tall and you've got a brain and you've been doing this for a long time. Go get 'em. There you go.
She said good thing makes sense, yeah? Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC 3 Counties Radio, pepped up to the max. On today's programme, have you ever been the victim of domestic violence? We hear one woman's horrific story as MPs in Milton Keynes call for tougher action against people who abuse their partners. Would you know what to do in an emergency? Hear from a Hertfordshire woman who saved her partner's life. Plus, if your dog attacks somebody, do you deserve to go to prison? Owners of dangerous dogs in England and Wales could see life in prison if their pet attacks a member of the public under new laws. Well, it seems obvious to me. If your pet, your dog or whatever attacks someone, then of course you should go to prison for a very, very long time, as though you had committed the attack yourself. The dog is an extension of you. That's why thick, ugly people get thick, ugly dogs. And nice, sensitive people get nice, sensitive dogs or cats. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or give me a call, 08459 455 555. I say give me a call. Some dog owners may struggle with that. So let me give you the number again. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC 3 Counties Radio.
08459 455 555. Now, there were more than 32,000 cases of domestic violence across Thames Valley in 2011 to 2012. Including 5,500 in Milton Keynes alone. But MK Act, which helps victims of domestic abuse, believes the real figure is much higher and has launched a new campaign to raise awareness. Well, we sent our reporter Craig Lewis to speak to one victim of domestic violence.
It became very difficult to be able to have a say within the household, from being chief parent of the house and the one in control, to then have to argue the point on a daily with another adult in the house that was more formidable, having to take into account the backlash that would carry over onto the children. He became very dominant verbally, mentally, socially, controlling everything that we did. He had a very big say in who came in and out of the property, but then a dramatic turn of events came about when my partner lost a very close family member, and that had a decided effect on his mental stability. That's when the violence took a huge turn for the worse. My kids witnessed the violence. I had no defence against it. I found myself very quickly, in a very dangerous position and unable to approach anybody. It made me feel quite stigmatised around the neighbourhood in which I lived. There were also visual markers if I was outside that you couldn't fail to notice that I was in a bad way. The events left me very underweight, facing a very deadly situation with my health.
Did you fear for your life at that point?
Yes, I did. At that point, I very much did. In fact, I was told by my partner that this was the end. If I was to defend my children, I was going to be face to face with my partner, and it was going to be disagreeable because he was very destructive, very manipulative, very intent on the outcome he wanted from it. He would not be shy about the violence. It didn't matter if anybody was there, but he absolutely broke down my communication networks so that I had nobody. I still have no idea why nobody approached anybody on my behalf to intervene, but I suppose that would just be the fear of being involved in anybody else's business. It doesn't take 2 minutes to make a phone call. If you feel that you're concerned about a family, a person, a child, that's all it needs, is just the pass on to say, I don't think everything's okay. When something comes into your world that rocks it that much, it makes you very dizzy. It makes you very confused as to where to go, and the follow-up care isn't in place yet where it's safe to just walk into a room and say help.
Why didn't you just leave this man? Why didn't you just go and report him to the police?
There were several incidences in the time that I was with him. I'd needed police support. They came out. I was unable to follow through with any convictions, complaints, because the structured network that's there would have meant that actually he was only in custody for as long as it takes to interview him, and then he would have been released back to myself and the children. And that would be like standing on a lion's paw and then closing the door and keeping him in the cage with you.
Well, that was Craig Lewis, our reporter, speaking to a victim of domestic violence. Later on, I'll be chatting to Andy Forbes, a church pastor who specialises in counselling victims of sexual abuse. Here's a song you don't hear often enough, unless you listen to this show quite regularly. Then you probably hear it a little bit too much, but we love it.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind, 'cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. I say we can go where we want to, a place where they will never find, and we can act like we come from out of this world, leave the real one far behind, and we can dance. If we want to, we can leave your friends behind, 'cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. Say, we can go where we want to, a place where they will never find, and we can act like we come from out of this world, leave the real one far behind, and we can dance. We can go when we want to. Night is young and so am I, and we can dress real neat from our hearts to our feet and surprise them with a victory cry. Say, we can act if we want to, if we don't, nobody will. And you can act real rude and totally removed, and I can act like an imbecile. And say, we can dance, we we can dance, everything's out of control. We can dance, they're doing it from pole to pole. We can dance, everybody look at your hands. We can dance, everybody's taking the chance. Safe to dance, oh, it's safe to dance. Yes, it's safe to dance.
Say down, 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 down.
We can dance if we want to. We've got all your life in mind. As long as we abuse it, never gonna lose it. Everything will work out right. I say we can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. Cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. I say we can dance, everything's out of control. We can dance, they're doing it from pole to pole. We can dance, everybody look at your hands. We can dance, everybody's taking the chance.
Still no idea what that song's about. Let me Google. Oh, it's about dancing. That's good. It's like dancing, but like in the olden days. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. I took my boys out yesterday. I had the boys yesterday, 3.5 and 19 months, and we were going to go to Windsor Castle, but there's a massive queue at Windsor Castle. So instead, what we did was we got on a train. Got on a train for a very short train ride, and we went to a train station, looked at some trains, and then got on the train back, which is very, very nice. And then we went on a boat trip on the Thames, which was very, very nice. And we had a lovely time. I say very nice. They were being little so-and-sos on this boat. Stop! Will you stop? Will you stop crawling under people's seats? It's not me, Dad, it's him! I will throw you in that river, is what I thought in my head. Anyway, we got home and I said to my eldest, so did you enjoy it? Oh, yeah, I loved it, Dad. It was great. Really loved it. Really, really loved it. Great, that's great. What was your favourite thing? Oh, the train. Oh, I love the train. Oh, sorry. Why did you like the train so much? I really liked the way the toilet door opened. Okay. And I liked the toilets on the boat, Dad. We spent most of the time with him doing wheeze and trying to do poos. The thing about my eldest, when he does a poo, I'm sorry about this, we've started, let's continue, is he likes to take off all of his clothes. All of his clothes, so does Kelly Betts, happy birthday. All of his clothes, his shoes, his socks, everything. And on a train toilet, I said, there is no way you are taking off all of your clothes for this. I'm staying in this cubicle, you are keeping your clothes on. Very uncomfortable. It's good to know that he liked the way the train toilet doors open. That's something, isn't it?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you're driving into London this morning, the A41 through Edgware westbound, there's a lane closed, a burst water main. They're doing emergency repairs. It's at the junction with Edgware-Bree Lane. Things looking fine on the motorways, the M25 clockwise. And there was a lane closed on the exit slip to the northbound M1. That's now reopened. A broken down vehicle that was causing a blockage there in the early hours has been removed. And if you're heading into London on the tube, severe delays for the Northern Line southbound, High Barnet to Camden Town and Mill Hill East to Camden Town because of emergency engineering work at East Finchley earlier this morning. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Coming up to 6:16, it's Tuesday the 6th of August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Owners of dangerous dogs could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack members of the public increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. The government is preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety in England, carried out by President Obama's former health advisor. In sport, a member of my production team, Kelly Betts, is celebrating her 19th birthday today. Coming up, we'll be talking about dogs and dog owners. If your dog attacks somebody, is it your fault? I suggest it is. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Roberto Perrone, debating the local issues.
Bill Rowe is a guardian angel. He needs volunteers for his Luton chapter.
This is not being a policeman. You can't do a policeman's job. It is giving safe passage to more vulnerable people.
Roberto Perrone.
A red kite has been rescued from a tree in Hertfordshire. There was a lost parrot in the Three Counties, and I was ready to mobilise our best people. Forget snakes on a plane. This is snakes in Hertfordshire. Potentially 27 of them.
Roberto Perrone.
And I love the animal stories. I do the animal stories.
Weekdays from 3 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band and he'll toot his flute for you. Come fly with me, let's take off in the blue. Once I get you up there where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You may hear angels cheer, 'cause we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Once I get you up there where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You may hear angels cheer, 'cause we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. You just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, let's fly. Pack up, let's fly away.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, a former advisor to President Obama will publish his review into NHS safety later on today. Don Berwick was appointed by David Cameron following the scandal at Mid Staffordshire Hospital and has headed a 3-month review looking into more transparency in the NHS. A Buckinghamshire mother whose daughter died 2 years ago in hospital is also calling for greater openness in the system. Well, Kirsten McIntosh is now involved with the charity Mother's Instinct and joins me now. Kirsten, just give us a little bit of background into your story. Why is this so important to you?
It's very important to me because this is the only way that I can mother my daughter Mia. Mia died in hospital, and we were just concerned at the time that there were changes being made, but they weren't going to be the changes that were the right ones, and nothing fundamentally or physically was really changing, and we just didn't want any other parents to go through what we'd been through with Mia.
What do you think were the problems in the hospital service that failed Mia?
One of the things that we were concerned about was looking at their serious incident and root cause investigation. And when we spoke with the hospital, you and I spoke, I think, last year in October after her inquest, the hospital did engage with us quite significantly around these issues that we were concerned about. And when they looked at their processes in their serious incidents, they have now done a complete review over their risk processes, their incident reporting, and looking at being open. And they also realised that by engaging with families, they could actually learn from our experiences. So all of these things put together have helped change things.
And is it openness and transparency, Kirsten, with staff and with patients and family members that you think is a key thing?
Oh, absolutely. How can you have any sort of public trust or patient confidence if you don't have openness and transparency? Particularly in a situation where you are a bereaved parent and you need to understand exactly what happened with a child before you can process really what happened. And if information is withheld either knowingly or unknowingly, it really doesn't help your healing at all. And often parents do have an understanding of what went wrong long before any investigations. And if our concerns are acknowledged and investigated and responded to, and we're given the truth, a huge amount of stress and additional stress and upset, which follow the worst incident, the worst experience, if you like, can really be in your life. It can really be avoided. So this is sort of the least that we're asking the NHS to do for those unfortunate enough to lose a child or a family member.
It must be incredibly frustrating. You're confronted with the huge, tear in your life of losing a child, and then you're confronted with people covering things up, deliberately or otherwise, not telling the truth, not being open about what happened. How does that affect your grieving?
It prolongs it and exacerbates it in a really terrible way, and this is what. Fortunately, we were able to communicate with Milton Keynes Hospital, and I think originally they saw us as when we and two other families approached, and they were trying to figure out what they could do for us because they couldn't obviously make the pain go away. But then they saw that we were wanting to engage with the hospital because they realised that we had misfeedback and mislearning from our experiences, and by engaging with us, they have helped us to a certain extent to heal and to provide some sort of legacy for Mia, for Harry Mould and for Calvin Alcock, our 3 children.
I'm just trying to think. I was just saying a few minutes ago how I spent yesterday with my 3.5 and my 18-month-old, taking them out on trains and boats, and how do you cope, Kirsten, with I know it was 2 years ago you lost Mia, but how do you cope with that hole in your life?
I don't think it's a matter of coping. It's a situation that it's a new normal, is what a lot of bereaved parents talk about. You just have to change your life. Whole life changes. And so when one of the things in our changes, you can't mother this child any more in a traditional way. So this is one of the things we said to the hospital, and they listened to us and said, this is our legacy for our children. This is the only way we can mother our children in this way, by helping. This is their legacy, by helping other parents not go through what we went through. And the hospital, to their credit, did listen.
Kirsten, thanks very much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Kirsten McIntosh from Buckinghamshire. Her 1-year-old daughter Mia died at MK Hospital 2 years ago. Well, we're joined on the line now by Joe Harrison, who is Chief Executive at Milton Keynes Hospital NHS Foundation Trust. Morning, Joe. Can you explain what you've been doing at the hospital to try and keep the number of serious incidents down?
Good morning, Ian. The first thing to say is that we want to make sure all of our staff report incidents when they happen. So we have to make sure that every member of staff feels that they can highlight an incident, they can talk to their manager, they can talk to other people if something goes wrong. That openness, that transparency has to be there for every single member of staff. When we then find out that something's gone wrong, because things do unfortunately go wrong, we need to be very, very clear that any investigation that we carry out takes place in a way that we share all of the facts, all of the details with the family if they want it, so that they can ask us questions, they can challenge what we've done, and also so that we can learn from where we do get things wrong. And that's the way that I think our organisation, our hospital, has changed over the last couple of years.
How do you ensure your staff are more open and transparent?
One of the key areas is to make sure that we not only have the systems in place, but we actively encourage individuals to come forward. When things go wrong, we need people to be able to say, look, I made a mistake, or this went wrong, and we need to be able to learn from it. And if you can engender that feeling in individuals that we are here to get things right, to do the right thing, then people feel far more able to come forward.
93 serious incidents at the hospital in 2012. That does sound like a significant figure.
It does. It is a significant figure. I should say that not all serious incidents end or result in harm for patients. So what we are doing now is making sure that if there's even any chance of harm, we report it as a serious incident. Because that way we can carry out the full investigation, we can take the family through the details and the facts of what happened, and we can investigate properly. If there isn't harm, we can still learn. If there is harm, we can do things within the hospital to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And speaking specifically about Milton Keynes Hospital, do you think that more needs to be done to make the whole NHS more transparent and open?
I know that we were one of the first trusts in the country to share root cause analysis, what Kirsten was talking about, the very, very detailed facts about what happened in any incident. We were one of the first trusts in the country to share that detail with families. I would hope that other organisations do that as well now. I would hope that every organisation is looking to be as transparent and open as we're trying to be at Milton Keynes. Again, I think we all have room for improvement, but I do think that we are getting there.
Joe, thank you very much indeed. Joe Harrison, Chief Executive of Milton Keynes Hospital NHS Foundation Trust. If you want to give me a call, 08459 455 555. We'll be talking about dogs again. It pops up every now and then, doesn't it? The story of dogs and dog owners. I suggest, are we allowed to take dogs' teeth out and replace them with rubber jaws? Has that been passed, or did I just dream that? Killer dog owners face life in prison. Well, if you're a dog owner and your dog bites somebody, it is your responsibility and your fault, isn't it? Isn't it? Of course it is. You can disagree with that. 08459 455 555. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still problems if you're driving into London this morning on the A41 westbound round Edgware, because there's a lane closed as a result of a burst water main. They're doing emergency repairs and it's at Edgware Lane. Things on the major routes through the three counties are looking totally clear. No delays right now on the motorways, the M1, the A1M, the M40 and even the M25 running well on the cameras. If you're travelling by train though, Chiltern have delays of up to 20 minutes between Aylesbury and Marylebone after a train broke down at Prince's Risborough earlier today. The line is open but residual delays remain. And the Northern Line tube now runs with minor delays between High Barnet and Camden Town and Mill Hill East and Camden Town after emergency engineering works at East Finchley earlier today. There is a good service on the rest of the line and no other problems reported on the tubes. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 6:30 News and Sport now. Here's Catherine.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. The headlines. Owners of dangerous dogs could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pet to attack members of the public increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. The government's preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety in England, carried out by President Obama's former health advisor. And a new campaign's been launched to raise awareness of domestic violence in Milton Keynes.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England have retained the Ashes and are now focused on winning the series outright, according to their captain Alistair Cook. His side drew the third test at Old Trafford yesterday, giving them an unassailable 2-0 lead with 2 tests remaining.
The first objective was to retain the Ashes, and now, we want to go and win them. I think it's showing this test match how competitive Australia are, and we played very well at Lord's. And, they played very well here, but we showed a lot of fighting character to get through this game. And we need to up our levels a little bit at Durham.
A pitch invasion marked the end of Preston's 1-0 Capital Cup win over Blackpool at Deepdale last night. The League One side scored late to beat the Championship side, prompting supporters to run onto the pitch. During the incident, one steward was injured by a police horse and taken to hospital. Blackpool manager Paul Ince was frustrated.
What's it going to take for someone to be stabbed before we actually wake up and smell the coffee? Especially a game like this. It's a big derby, massive derby, high-intensity game. You can't just let 200 Preston fans run on the pitch when our players are on the pitch. And that's something we need to look at. But we don't. We'll have to wait for something to really happen for us to say, let's do something about it. And there's been enough incidents in the last 2 or 3 years where we should be seriously getting our heads together and doing something about it.
Loic Remy says it'll be a huge honour to play for Newcastle United following his move on a season-long loan from QPR. Newcastle. The former Marseille striker passed a medical on Monday evening. Meanwhile, the Fulham manager Martin Jol has confirmed he's close to signing Queen's Park Rangers forward Adel Tarabt on a season-long loan. Oh, stop it.
Sorry.
The Morocco international will have a medical this morning. And Iain Lee has all the latest on that coming up right now. Iain.
Why did they say, we were fighting, we were battling? You didn't. You just played some cricket.
Well, you do sweat.
Yeah, but it's not... You don't even sweat that much, to be honest. You just stand there, you hit a ball, and you go and have a sandwich.
And it hurts when you catch.
Doesn't it? It's those hard leather balls. Have you ever tried to grab a hard ball?
I have, yeah.
When those hard balls just land in your hand. Sometimes I once
you have to do soft hands.
I can't do soft hands. I once got slapped in the face with a hard ball.
Did you?
I did.
On purpose, or?
Well, I saw this hard ball coming, and I went for it, and it slapped me in the face, virtually knocked my teeth out.
Good grief.
Unbelievable.
I got one in the back of the head once.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three. I just need to... Hang on a second, I think I've got some wires on my head. I'm not quite sure how they got there. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 08459 455 555 is there. There are hijinks afoot. It's Kelly Bett's birthday, and there are hijinks afoot. And I just think that a breakfast show is not the right forum for laughter or entertainment at all. OK, guys? No fun shall be had between now and 9 o'clock. I'm banning fun. Coming up in a bit, speaking of banning fun, we'll be speaking to our correspondent JD Chat about dogs. Dogs, I say. 08459 455 555. If your dog bites someone, you could go to prison for life. Well, it makes sense to me. You're responsible for that dog. It's your fault. It attacked. Talk to you about it after this.
You hold your truth so purely. Swerve not through the minds of men. The sly is dead. This cup of yours tastes holy, but a brush with the devil can clear your mind and strengthen your spine. But fingers tap into what you were once. And I'm worried that I blew my only chance. whispers in the dark. Steal a kiss, you'll break your heart. Pick up your clothes and curl your toes. Learn your lesson, lead me home. Spare my sins for the ark. I was too slow to depart. I'm a cad, but I'm not a fraud. I'd set out to serve the Lord. And my heart was colder when you gone. And I lost my head, but found the one that I love. Under this sun, under this sun. Fingers tapping to what you were once. And I'm worried that I blew my only shot. Fingers tapping to what you were once. And I'm worried that I blew my only shot.
Mumford & Sons, isn't it? Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. If your dog attacks somebody, do you deserve to go to prison? If your dog attacks somebody, is it your fault? Well, owners of dangerous dogs could see life imprisonment if their pet attacks a member of the public. It's being increased from 2 years to life imprisonment. At least that's the proposal being put forward. The government believes harsher penalties are needed for irresponsible owners, those who fail to prevent attacks on guide dogs. Last month, parents of children killed by dogs handed in a petition to Downing Street calling for action. Jeremy Brown is the Home Office Minister, and this is his voice.
A number of people have said to us, and we are sympathetic to this argument, that the maximum 2-year sentence, which has existed for many, many years before we extended this legislation, the maximum 2-year sentence for having a dangerous dog that attacks somebody and even potentially kills that person is inadequate and should be longer.
Well, since 2005, 16 people have been killed by dogs in the UK. They include 14-year-old Jade Anderson, who was fatally attacked by a pack of 4 dogs while she was at a friend's house earlier this year. No one has been charged over her death because, under current laws, owners can only be prosecuted if their dog is dangerous in a public place, not on private property. Well, speaking to the BBC in June, Jade's parents called for change.
Well, this is about saving lives and
no one else going through what we went through. Well, trying to prevent that anyway.
Yeah.
Well, our reporter Justin Dealey is out and about looking at this story for us this morning. Morning, Justin.
Hello, Ian. Every time I talk about this story, whenever I meet dog owners, they always say the same thing to me. My dog...
Not my dog.
Yeah, my dog's absolutely lovely. He's always off the lead. He's never hurt anybody before. It's the same thing every single time.
He's never hurt anybody before, yet.
Exactly.
Yet you don't... this pops up every now and then. We did this a few months ago. It's one of those stories that just keeps on going. It's in the papers today with government proposals being unveiled that could see you sentenced to life in prison. Well, certainly tougher sentences if your dog attacks somebody. Tougher than the 2 years. And it just seems like such an obvious thing to me. Dogs are dangerous. Little tiny ratty Russell Yorkshire Terriers, whatever they are, they can kill a baby. Yep. Big dogs can kill a grown man. They are dangerous, horrible things. You should be responsible. If your dog bites somebody, you are responsible. If your dog kills somebody, you should go to prison for a significant number of years. It seems obvious to me.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people waking up this morning will be delighted about this because 2 years, of course, it's always been pretty weak. It's been that way for years. I think going from one extreme to the other, though, the potential of having life in prison for your dog attacking somebody, I'm sure a lot of people think is very, very harsh. It's early in the morning, Ian. I've been trying to find a few dog walkers this morning to get their reaction to this story. I found a couple, and here's what happened.
Well, madam, you've got 3 dogs here today. Can you tell us more about your lovely dogs?
Yeah, they're all nice, safe, happy dogs. They're well socialised and they're out up the park every day with lots of other dogs.
Now, you say they're safe, and of course, they may turn at some point. Nobody knows it if they would. If your dog was to attack somebody else, should you go to prison? What do you think?
Depends on the situation. If I was being attacked myself by someone up the park, then I would say no. But if my dog went off and attacked somebody for no reason at all, then I said yes, the issue must be dealt with.
Now, you could face life in prison. Do you think that is ridiculous?
Yes. Burglars and other people get away with all sorts of different things, and it is your responsibility, but at the end of the day, there is a reason why your dog's attacked somebody.
Well, sir, you're out bright and early this morning. Tell us about the breed of your dog here.
Well, he's Dalmatian, collie, mixed.
And would you say that he's a safe dog out in public?
Yeah, very safe.
Now, if your dog was to attack somebody else, do you think that you would deserve to go to prison?
Well, he wouldn't attack anybody anyway, you know.
But if he did, would you deserve to go to prison?
I suppose, I don't know. That'd be up to the court, really, wouldn't it? Yeah, wouldn't it?
But if somebody else's dog attacked you, do you think they would deserve to go to prison?
Well, I don't know. If I was here one morning and there was a boxer and there was a bloke cycling and the boxer was on the loose and the boxer attacked me. Well, I was on the ground. I tripped over the lead and I was in the ground and, you know, I didn't make much of it really, you know.
But did the boxer bite you, though?
No, not at all. No, but he was fighting with the dog, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you say here that your dog is, again, lovely and safe, wouldn't hurt anybody, and again, I've got no reason to doubt that this morning, but for whatever reason, your dog could turn and could attack somebody, because everyone seems to think their dog's lovely, don't they?
Well, he wouldn't attack anyone. He's very good when he's out.
We don't... listen, there are so many flaws in their arguments. The First Lady... Oh, no, if my dog attacks someone, I shouldn't go to prison for life because burglars get away with it. Well, burglars don't get away with it, and you can't compare... Just because somebody else gets a lesser sentence than you think they deserve, it doesn't mean that you should. And that fella there... Oh, no, my dog would never... I nearly did the accent. I went, oh, no, my dog could never attack... We just don't know. However domesticated we make them, they are still wild animals at heart.
Well, he just couldn't see it, could he? You know, time and time again we made the point to him. But I think the really interesting point from that was the First Lady saying that if your dogs do attack somebody, there is always a reason for that. Now, how many of your listeners will be listening to that saying, that's absolute rubbish, I did nothing wrong at all, I was sitting minding my own business or walking somewhere and a dog attacked me and a dog happened to stick his teeth into me. You don't, I don't think, have to have a reason for your dog to attack somebody. For whatever reason, they may take a dislike to them.
Of course you can't. And even if there is a reason, this 14-year-old girl, Jade Lomas Anderson, who was killed, even whatever the reason may be, no reason justifies what happened to her. And the fact that because it happened on private property, the owners cannot be prosecuted. Let's put it out there. Have you been attacked by a dog? Was there a reason for it? 08459 455 555. And do you agree? If a dog attacks, the owner is responsible. The owner should face a significant prison sentence. Justin, are you going to talk to some more people about this morning?
I think so, yeah. I think we'll get some more dog owners live on the radio for after 7:30. It's certainly a big talking point again today. But we should see whether that attitude changes, because obviously it's early in the morning. It could change after 7. Are people still going to be saying, my dog is absolutely lovely and is completely safe, and they wouldn't hurt anybody, and I know that for a fact?
I don't know if... I don't know if a lot of dog owners... There are some very responsible dog owners, of course there are. I don't know if a lot of dog owners have the intelligence to understand just how dangerous those things on the end of that leash is.
Well, do you know what? I spoke to somebody this morning and they said to me, and here's another interesting point, they said, if I thought my dog was dangerous, I would muzzle my dog. Well, you probably haven't muzzled your dog because nothing has happened. And then by the time it does happen, of course, it will be too late.
Justin, excellent stuff. We'll speak to you a bit later on. That's Justin Dealey out and about. 08459 455 555. Right, 7:15. Let's get the travel now with Adam.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Cheers, Ian. Just having a look at the speed sensors, and it's looking a wee bit slow as you drive into Harpenden this morning on the Luton Road, the A1081. The southbound side looking a little slow as you go past the station. Everything seems to be running well on the A5, maybe a wee bit busy in Dunstable. Clear on the M1 though, and no problems yet on the A1M, but if you're heading further down into London on the A1, it's looking slow in the usual spot past Apex Corner toward Mill Hill Circus. Also trouble on the A41 in Edgware westbound. There's a burst water main. They're doing emergency repairs and they've had to close off a lane at the junction with Edgware-Bury Lane. Chiltern running with delays of 20 minutes on the trains between Aylesbury and Marylebone after a broken down train at Prince's Risborough. The line's open, it's just residual delays there, and things should be pretty much back to normal now on the Northern Line tube after problems with emergency engineering work at East Finchley earlier this morning. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 6:46, Tuesday the 6th of August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Owners of dangerous dogs could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack members of the public increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. The government is preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety in England carried out by President Obama's former health advisor. In sport, England have retained the Ashes and are now focused on winning the series outright, according to their captain, Alistair Cook. Coming up, are you any good at first aid? Would you know what to do if something happened in front of you? I'm not sure I would. Well, should first aid training be part of the school curriculum? 08459 455 555. We'll find out after the weather with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. Well, the good news is that I bring you much better weather news today. It is going to stay dry and there'll be some good spells of sunshine around as well. Meanwhile, it's a much fresher start to the day than we've been used to recently. We do have some temperatures that have dipped below double figures overnight. So, a little bit cool this morning for some of us. Lots of sunshine around this morning. It will be a cloudier afternoon, some cloud bubbling up here and there, but where we do keep the sunny spells, and that should be just about everywhere. There should be some spells of sunshine later on, then it will feel nice and pleasant actually. Top temperatures today up to 23, perhaps as high as 24 degrees Celsius. We've got 23 degrees in High Wycombe, in Luton, St Albans and in Harlow as well. So it's not looking too bad today. It will stay dry, just light winds, so pleasant in the sunshine. Overnight tonight, staying dry. A good few clear spells around, a few mist and fog patches forming into tomorrow morning. Temperatures dropping to 12 or 13 degrees. And then tomorrow we're likely to see a bit more in the way of cloud. We could see a good old scattering of showers into the afternoon, but they will tend to be on the light side, and the breeze will increase as we head through the rest of the week, but still lots more dry weather on offer. Temperatures around the low to possibly as high as the mid-20s, Ian. That's the forecast.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
On BBC Two. I really need a volunteer for 2 minutes just to show you how quick and easy it is.
When you said 2 minutes, how many minutes do you actually mean?
Every second counts when you're pitching to the Dragons.
I think it's a genius idea.
It's complete and utter rubbish.
How much profit would that make you in a month?
That will make me... You have to forgive me, maths wasn't my strong point at school.
You have got a moment here to convince us to hand your cash over.
Could you hurry up?
Leave him alone. What's the matter with you?
Under pressure.
Brand new Dragon's Den.
Could you serve it now?
Have some patience.
Under pressure.
Sunday night
Duncan
at 8
Bannatyne.
on BBC Two and BBC Two HD.
For a very, very long time, Duncan Bannatyne was my gay choice. I know.
Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it. It's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it. Gotta be rock roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me. I got no kick against modern jazz.
try to play it too darn fast and lose the beauty of the melody until it sounded like a symphony. That's why I go for that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it, it's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it, it's gotta be rock roll music. If you wanna dance with me, if you wanna dance with me, I took my love on over across the tracks and see the glimmer man a wailing sad. I must admit they had a rocking band. Man, they were blowing like a hurricane. That's why I go for that rock and roll music. Any old way you choose it, it's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it, gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me, if you wanna dance with me. Way down south they had a jubilee. Them Georgia folks they had a jamboree. They're drinking homebrew from a wooden cup. The folks are dancing, they got all shook up. I started playing that rock and roll music. Any old time you use it, it's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it, gotta be rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me, if you wanna dance with me, don't get to hear them play a tango, and in the mood they take a mambo. It's way too early for the Congo, so keep a rockin' that piano. That's why I go for that rock and roll music. Any old time you use it, it's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. Any old time you use it, oh, they got rock roll music. If you wanna dance with me, if you wanna dance with me, cha-cha-cha.
The Red Cross have told BBC Three Counties how disappointed they are that basic first aid training has not been made part of the school curriculum. And nothing confirms this need more than what happened to Susan Reeks from Hatfield back in May. Her partner Keith Charles collapsed in front of her eyes and Susan was forced to perform CPR on him. So with the help of the 999 staff, Susan successfully saved her partner's life. Our reporter Sophie Solaria went to meet the couple and the ambulance staff who helped them at their home in Hatfield.
Tuesday night I had indigestion, or what I thought was indigestion, when I was in sleep. I woke up, I took two Advil, went back to bed, it's fine. On the Friday morning, I went over to my unit, which I got for storage, and there was a guy next door. He had a massive carpet there, and he said to me, "You can't give me a hand to move it, can you?" And it was heavy. And I came back, to the unit, and I thought, I didn't feel right. It wasn't like chest pains or tingling at the arm, that's what I'm expecting. It's like a weird feeling, just didn't seem right.
So I went over to pick him up, and so we came home and he lay on the bed, and about 5 minutes later he said to me, "I don't feel right, something's not right." And I said, "Really?" And then that was it, bang.
When you say that was it, what was it? What happened?
I died, didn't I?
His face just, in an instant, just went bright purple, and then his eyes were rolling in the back of his head, and then I think it was like gasping for air, or it's all a bit of a blur, you have to forgive me, because it was all a bit kind of surreal. And then straight away I phoned you.
When you say phoned you actually mean 999?
Yeah, sorry, 999.
Jane Moore, what were you doing at the end of that line?
I'm a call handler for the ambulance service. I gave Susan all the instructions for CPR and she followed every instruction to the letter.
And I remember saying to you, "I don't think I can." And you know what it was? You said to me, "You've got to." And I thought, yeah, I've got to. I've got no choice. I've got to. Yeah.
And you did it.
Yeah.
So
well, I did my best.
Well, you did brilliantly well, because we've got Keith here and you're now sitting here, you're talking to us, and you look really well.
Thank you very much. I feel well. I was lucky. I had the best treatment from everybody. I had a lot of luck on my side as well.
I'm going to introduce another couple of people here, and this is the ambulance crew.
I'm Simon Williams.
I'm Sarah Wilmot.
As soon as I came in, I took over from Susan, waited for backup.
Keith had, well, his breaths were probably about 4 a minute, perhaps not even that. We had to carry on CPR for quite a few rounds, but eventually you were really strong, and your work before we arrived meant that we had the best possible chance, and we found out that there's every likelihood that you'd actually had a heart attack, and that's what may have caused the collapse. It's great for us to see this kind of result.
There's no doubt the importance of learning how to do basic first aid training.
It is. It's a wonderful thing. And if you get there quick enough and act quick enough, people are surviving.
Well, with us now is Dan Sheridan, a community-based first aid trainer for the Red Cross in Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire. Dan, how do you recognise if someone is having a heart attack? Dan?
Iain.
Oh, you're there. Hello, Dan. I've been given false information. I'll let Kelly Betts off this time. It's her birthday, but she will be, another time she will be fired. How do you recognise, Dan, if someone is having a heart attack?
The thing is, Iain, the main common symptoms will be like someone's got a vice like chest pain, may spread into their arms, their neck, their jaw, or even their back, and sometimes their stomach. And I think the main point to always get across is just don't ignore it, as your clip proved. Not to ignore it. It's quite common. People go, it's probably indigestion. I don't want to be a fuss, so I'll just leave it, see if it goes away, and that's where the problem comes up.
It does seem odd to me that first aid isn't taught at school. When I was 25 years ago, when I was at school, however long it was you were kind of offered it if you wanted to come in on a Saturday morning and learn it. Of course, no one did. It seems strange it's not part of the curriculum. Yeah, I mean, Red Cross, we've been trying to, with our Pupil Citizen Lifesaver campaign, we've been trying to sort of campaign to get it onto the school curriculum. And unfortunately, it wasn't successful this time round. And I think it's going to be something that we're going to go again with, and we're going to try and persist with this one, because it does seem to be very important. If we can get that onto the curriculum, that everyone's going to be leaving school and they've got a real basic idea of first aid, and then at the end of it, everyone's going to, in the community, can benefit from that, and you're going to have more sort of good outcome stories like that lady's. Was a reason given for why it couldn't go on the curriculum? I couldn't give you the exact reasons why it wasn't. It just didn't make it this time round. It's already on the curriculum in Wales, so so it's making headway into that sort of curriculum there. And all we can do is persist with that. And if people want to, really get involved and push it, then they need to contact their MPs and say, look, we want it included in the future. What are the basic tips, Dan? What are a couple of basic things that people can do? Well, the main thing is never to ignore anything. Like when it comes to chest pain, just don't ignore that. The other things we look at is, the things we run. We run a course called Everyday First Aid, and it's for everyone to get involved. We run them throughout the year, and they're always available on the website. But the idea of these courses is so easy to learn. Say, for instance, you cut yourself quite badly, and to stem bleeding, what we advocate is grab a tea towel, hold it up in the air, sit someone down, and call 999. That's the sort of stuff that we go with, because it's easy to learn, it's easy to remember, and you feel more confident about getting involved. Dan, there are some people who say, well, listen, I'm not doing first aid, because if I do first aid and it goes wrong, I'm going to get sued. Have you come across that attitude? You do get that, Iain. It's quite a common sort of myth that's floated around there, and I can tell you now, in this country, you're pretty well protected. It's about really doing something for someone rather than not, and just carrying on walking by. And that's what we're trying to advocate, is to just get yourself involved. To be honest with you, it's very hard to get it wrong. Right. To be fair, it's very, very hard to get it wrong. What you're going to do is something that no one else was going to do. They were just going to carry on walking. So that's always the way to look at it, is that, it's better to do something than nothing. Dan, when was the last time you had to use your first aid skills? Last week. Oh, what happened? Last week it was just someone was choking in a restaurant. You just don't know where it's going to be. And to be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, it will be someone unfortunately, because we spend a lot of time with our family. Yeah. So. Dan, I appreciate your time this morning. Dan Sheridan, community-based first aid trainer for the Red Cross in Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire. You used it last week. When was the last time you used first aid? Do you know any? I can do the Heimlich, although I think the Heimlich is out of fashion at the moment. I think they prefer to give someone a good wallop on the back. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Chiltern still running with delays of up to 20 minutes between Aylesbury and Marylebone after a train broke down at Prince's Risborough earlier today. The line is open. It's just residual delays which hopefully will be shaken out of the system before too long. On the roads, the M25 anti-clockwise getting quite heavy from junction 21 at the M1 toward 20 at Kings Langley, and then from Maple Cross to the M40. Into London and the A41 westbound in Edgware. A lane closed because of a burst water main. Emergency repairs ongoing at Edgware-Bree Lane. And the A1 down toward there is looking quite slow past the A41 at Apex Corner and toward Mill Hill Circus. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
next hour, if you own a dangerous dog, or any kind of dog, and it attacks someone, well, you should go to prison for a very long time. It seems obvious to me.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Catherine Boyle. The headline: sentence increase for dangerous dog owners. Obama's health advisor reports on the NHS, and England retain the Ashes.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Owners of dangerous dogs in England and Wales could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack members of the public increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. Our political correspondent Louise Stewart reports.
A bill is currently going through Parliament which would replace the Dangerous Dogs Act and close a legal loophole which means owners can be prosecuted only if their dog is dangerous in a public place, not on private property. The Anti-Social Behaviour, Crime and Policing Bill would also increase jail sentences for those whose dog killed someone. At present, the maximum sentence is 2 years. The month-long consultation will ask the public if that should be increased, potentially to life. An attack on an assistance dog, such as a guide dog, could become an aggravated offence, which would incur a sentence of up to 10 years.
The government is preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety in England carried out by President Obama's former health advisor. Professor Don Berwick was asked by the Prime Minister to introduce a culture of zero harm to patients following the scandal at Mid Staffordshire. Here's our health correspondent, Adam Brimelow.
Professor Berwick is an international authority on patient safety and noted supporter of the NHS. He advocates a culture where no harm should be regarded as acceptable, drawing on lessons learned from airlines and other industries. Central to this, he argues, are openness and honesty among staff and managers and a willingness to learn from mistakes. He says that's already happening in the NHS in Scotland, which has a national patient safety programme. The Patients Association says these themes have already been developed in detail in the recent public inquiry into the scandal at Mid Staffordshire. It says what's needed now is action rather than more reports.
A new campaign's been launched to raise awareness of domestic violence in Milton Keynes. There were more than 32,000 cases in the Thames Valley area between 2011 and 2012, with 5,500 incidents reported in Milton Keynes alone. MK Act, which helps survivors of domestic abuse in the area, believes the real figure is much higher. The chairman of the Charity Commission has warned that very high salaries for some charity executives could bring their organisations into disrepute. William Shawcross was commenting on figures following a sharp increase in the number of executives at charities connected to the Disasters Emergency Committee who earn more than £100,000. There's more evidence that the economic recovery is gathering pace, this time from Britain's leading shops, who reported the best July sales figures for 7 years. The British Retail Consortium says sales grew by 2.2% compared with July last year. In sport, England have retained the Ashes and are now focused on winning the series outright. That's according to captain Alistair Cook. His side drew the third test at Old Trafford yesterday, giving them an unassailable 2-0 lead with 2 tests remaining. The weather today, dry with bright or sunny spells and a top temperature of 23 degrees Celsius. That's 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It was looking like a nice morning on my way in today. Yesterday, wasn't it wet? Wasn't it wet? Yes, I love that. I was out with the boys, it was a shower, then by the time we got home it was a storm. Wonderful, wonderful. Makes you good to feel alive. We were indoors watching Willy Wonka, the first one, and then watching the rain. Beautiful. On today's programme, have you ever been a victim of domestic violence? A campaign in Milton Keynes is calling for tougher action against people who abuse their partners. A former advisor to President Obama from America will publish his review into NHS safety later today. And if your dog attacks somebody, do you deserve to go to prison? Well, owners of dangerous dogs in England and Wales could see life in prison if their pet attacks a member of the public under new laws. Well, I want to take your calls on that one. If your dog attacks somebody, you are ultimately responsible and you should face a tough prison term. Seems obvious. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Text 81333, start your text 3CR, or give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, incredible statistic. More than 32,000 cases of domestic violence, not across the country, that's across Thames Valley in 2011 to 2012, including 5,500 in Milton Keynes alone. But MK Act, which aids victims of domestic abuse, believes the number of victims is hugely underreported. It estimates that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men suffer domestic violence at some point, and that people will suffer an average of 35 attacks before they ask for help. These figures are incredible. The Let's Talk campaign in Milton Keynes has been launched to raise awareness of domestic violence and sexual harassment. I'm joined now by Andy Forbes, who is a church pastor who specialises in counselling victims of sexual abuse. Morning, Andy. What's your involvement in the Let's Talk campaign?
OK, first of all, I'd actually like to give credit to both MPs, to Mark Lancaster and Iain Stewart, for launching this campaign.
Mark's coming on the show a bit later on, I think.
Very
yes,
good.
I shall pass that on.
Because they've actually got into a talking position where they're actually listening, and they've gathered together some church leaders, some Muslim leaders, people from MK Act and all sorts of different walks of life and society who deal with everything from child abuse through to abuse of adults, whether they be women, children, husbands, wives, etc. And as you say, the stats are incredible. They're not a surprise to those who work in it.
Really?
And I think the other thing is, I was listening to your radio earlier when you say MK Act said the 5,500 just in Milton Keynes alone would probably be much higher. Absolutely.
I would imagine, from what little I have read and seen about this, that a lot of this is based on control and fear. Domestic abuse is based on control and fear. So if you're getting slapped about at home or threatened with whatever, it's going to be really hard to go and tell someone, isn't it?
It is, and I think control is the biggest single thing. Whether it's from the children's point of view or the adult's point of view, control comes in many forms. So it can sometimes be financial. It can sometimes be, if people knew what we were doing, they would be disappointed, your husband, your wife, or no one would believe you. All these kinds of things, all the threat of physical violence, or somebody will be killed, or somebody will have this happen to them, or that happen to them. But the reason for the control is it's as bad as the actual event. And that one thing I've discovered over the years is the strength of that needs breaking. And unless somebody can actually talk about it, they remain under it. And I think that's the biggest single thing people don't realise, is the truth is it's wrapped in a lie, it's wrapped in control, because they don't want people to know what they're doing. And actually we have to begin to talk to get people out of it.
There's also an incredible psychology behind this, because quite often the person who is being abused, whether it be physically or it be mental bullying or whatever, they love the person that's doing it, and they manage to somehow turn a blind eye to the abuse they're receiving because they love them. It's incredible, isn't it?
It is. The old phrase, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. It is evil. It is wicked. And people don't know an alternative, and they don't actually believe they can come out of it. It's not uncommon to find somebody who's had a drunken father, who's abusive and violent, to then go and marry somebody who's drunken, abusive and violent, because it's what they know. And they've never come out of the control, so they continue living under it. And they feel secure in that for some strange reason. And actually that's where we need to help people come out of it.
So Andy, what's your role in the Let's Talk campaign? How are you contributing to this?
Okay, well I'm part of the whole team, which is quite a big team. So for instance, I've talked about control, we've talked about education, we've talked about educating people in schools, starting with the children so they don't grow up thinking these things are okay. We've covered the whole range of what we can and can't do. So I was a school governor of a large school for 12 years. So we talked about teachers' ability to teach in some of these things. Or
this happens. We did this a few months ago. This happens to a lot of teenage couples. A lot of abuse going on. I thought kids these days were savvy and cleverer than we ever were. It's happening to teenagers as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I taught my children something when they were young. They said, how do you know something's okay or not? And I said, well, very simply, if you throw corn seeds in a field, you get corn. If you throw wheat, you get wheat. What you sow, you reap. But in the end of the day, we have the internet, we have the smartphones, we have the TV. what we're sowing of violence and relationships, what they should and shouldn't be, is hugely wrong, I think, that's out there. What we can do about it is a journey, which is why I think Let's Talk has two elements to it. One is getting people to talk about what is happening to them so they're no longer under the control. And the other one is getting us all to talk to each other. So in one of our last meetings, when we were talking about educating children and what you can and can't say in a school and what teachers should and shouldn't be asked to do, we had the Muslim imams in one corner of the room, us sitting next to them, the Christians. We had an atheist guy and all the rest, and we talked about the dynamic of one-string guitar, whereas often we have a one-stringed approach, whereas you need to get into the Muslim community with something that's acceptable to their belief, to the atheist, to the Muslim, to whatever background people are. We need to actually train up people within their cultures to teach within their cultures so that we get a hold of things. So, yeah, our role is actually the whole thing. We're talking about everything across the board.
Holistic approach to it.
Absolutely.
Put your headphones on, please, Annie, 'cause we're joined now by Colleen Kelly, who is from MK Act. Good morning, Colleen.
Good morning, Iain.
These figures I'm finding incredible. 32,000 cases of domestic violence across Thames Valley in 2011-2012. 5,500 in Milton Keynes. 5,500 that have been reported. How much bigger do you think the problem is in Milton Keynes?
I don't think it's Milton Keynes specifically. Obviously, there's an issue for us in Milton Keynes, and that's what we're talking about today. What we know about domestic abuse is that it's dramatically underreported. So 5,500 will be the tip of the iceberg.
What can be done to address this issue, do you think, Colleen?
I think the Let's Talk campaign is really important in starting us, as I was just listening to what Andy was saying, it's really important for us all to start having a conversation about this, because it's such a taboo and difficult and complex issue. It's kind of, a lot of the time it's been put on the too difficult pile. So I think that it's really important that we're having a conversation, bringing things out into the light and enabling people to feel comfortable and that it's acceptable to kind of talk about it and start thinking about asking for help and kind of examining their own relationships, really.
It sounds like a nice idea. Is something like Let's Talk, though, however noble it may be, is it actually going to encourage people who are living in fear, who are being controlled, to take that step towards getting help, do you think?
Well, all of the research and kind of all the information shows that actually if people feel comfortable and know that the person they're going to talk to understands, because I think one of people's biggest fear is that they're alone, they're isolated, nobody else understands what's happening to them, and that, and there's lots of fears around exposing themselves, I think, really. And, I heard Andy talk about the fear and the power and control that people are exposed to. So I think it's really important that us as, teachers, professionals, police officers, make it acceptable and, provide a culture whereby people feel safe to talk to us.
Andy, in your role as a church pastor, do you get people coming up to you, on a Sunday morning saying, "Oh, Andy, can I have a word"? Do you get people saying, "Look, I'm in this situation, I need help"?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we get it in all walks of life. I mean, this year alone, I've been called into a number of different situations.
And what can you do? Obviously, you can give them spiritual kind of counselling. What practical, earthly help can you give them?
Oh, okay. I mean, we would work with other authorities. So MK Act, for instance, we'd work with people like that. It's actually not trying to do it all yourself. Because I'm a church pastor, a lot of people come to me over a lot of things. In fact, you wouldn't want to know what I hear. It wouldn't be healthy.
You should write a book. I bet there's a book in there.
I think any pastor, vicar, etc. could. Yeah. But it's knowing where you can get that help with people, and it's actually sticking with them. So I've had people who come from alcoholic backgrounds, fear in the house. I walk through the door, they've literally just challenged me, and I'm in there to help, challenged others, and then gone and got a kitchen knife. And actually just said, could you stab yourself? And I'm sitting there going, sorry. And then they've just thrust the knife through their own hand. And
you've seen that happen?
I've seen that happen.
Wow.
And recently. And the problem is when you see those kind of things, that creates fear for the wife, the children, because if somebody's capable of that in an alcoholic moment, or because we've had people who've come to me who've been picked up as children and by their uncle and their father, who, as part of their discipline, have picked them up and thrown them, hurled them against a wall, and kept doing it for about 2 or 3 minutes until they learn not to cry, because men don't cry. When we were talking in the group recently, we talked about soldiers who were coming back who were being battered by their wives because they're coming back from the front, and if a husband who's a soldier retaliated, nobody would believe the other way around. So they can't do it. So they end up leaving the home. They've been homeless. They've been found in woods. They've been found in all these things. That's come out in this group. So, yeah, absolutely. It's a daily event. If you get involved in people's lives, people are in everything.
Colleen, we're running out of time. If people want to reach out to the Let's Talk campaign or MK Act, how can they get in touch?
Well, there's several ways. We've got a helpline number. So shall I give you our number?
Give us the number and we'll put it on the Facebook page as well a bit later on.
That's great. So we've got a helpline which is 0844 375 4307. So people can ring one of our advisors. The helpline's open 9 till 5. It's on weekdays, but there's lots of other information. There's a recorded message and lots of other information. Or we've got a website, and again, people can access information from our website.
Yep.
Do you want me to give you that information?
Yes, please. Yep, go on.
Okay, so it's just www.mkact.com.
Lovely. Colleen, listen, thank you very much indeed. That's Colleen Kelly from MKACT. Andy Forbes, thank you very much for coming in. Good luck.
Pleasure.
Keep up the good work. 08459 455 555. It's 7:16. Let's get the travel news now. Yes, let's get the travel, shall we?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
So far today, it's only really looking slow on the M25. There are patches of heavy traffic, firstly from the M1 to Kings Langley Junction 21 to 20, then from Maple Cross to the M40, Junction 17 to 16. It is starting to slow a bit as you go into London on the A1 southbound through Edgware, from the Apex Corner Junction down toward Mill Hill Circus. And if you're joining the A41 in Edgware, problems westbound because of a burst water main. One lane's been closed off while they do emergency repairs at Edgware-Bree Lane. That went up at around 10 to 6 or maybe 5:30 this morning, so they've been doing work there since just before 6 o'clock. Major routes through the three counties are looking good. No delays yet on the speed sensors along the A1M or the M1, and no trouble for the M40. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam, thank you very much. 7:17, Tuesday the 6th of August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Owners of dangerous dogs could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack people increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. The government is preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety carried out by President Obama's former health advisor. In sport, the England cricket team, Alistair Cook says England have achieved their first objective in retaining the Ashes, but now must focus on their second goal and outright win. Well, today is Kelly Bett's birthday. She's a member of the team here, and as a special birthday present, Kelly, got a little treat for you. I'm going to let you make me a nice cup of tea, milk no sugar.
BBC Three Counties Radio. Every weekday morning from 9, The JVS Show.
You just can't carry on with life. It's just awful.
With the biggest opinions.
It's about time somebody or an organisation has stood up and basically snort the coffee.
Well, it depends on the individual, actually. Let's pollute the planet even more. We should pollute it so much your Pinot Grigio goes rotten.
And the biggest local talking points.
What we really need to do is for everyone in the country to reduce their energy consumption, not increase it.
The JVS Show. Weekdays from 9, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Did someone in that package there say stand up and smell the coffee? Why would you stand up? I hate people who say, first of all, I hate people who say wake up and smell the coffee. It's such a lazy phrase. But then people who say it and get it wrong, wake up, stand up and smell the coffee. It reminds me once on Talk Sport, which is an awful radio station, someone was very, very angry and phoned up and went, "This is political madness gone wrong." 08459 455 555 is the phone number. If you've got a dog and it bites someone, well, at the moment, the maximum you can get is 2 years in prison. It's not good enough. It's ridiculous. 16 people have died because of out-of-control dogs since 2005. Nonsense. Terrible, terrible number. The most you can get is 2 years? No. The government is looking at increasing the prison terms. It plans terms of 7 years, 10, 14 or life. will all be considered. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? If you've got a dog is a dangerous weapon. Okay, all dogs have the ability to kill, even those little ratty ones that strange, lonely men have, the Yorkies, whatever they're called. They can kill a baby, of course they can. Dogs are dangerous weapons. If you have one, you are responsible for it. If it attacks somebody, you should go to prison for a very, very long time. It seems obvious to me. 08459 455 555. Richie, you've got a dog, have you? What dog have you got?
I've got a Japanese Akita, Ian.
A what?
I've got a Japanese Akita.
What the hell is that? Is that those ones that look like a wolf?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that. They're a Spitz breed. They weigh in at 46 kilos plus. So that's kind of, that's heading on for 8 to 10 stone for a male Akita. I'm a great believer in the British justice system, and I think it's about time that people need to take more responsibility for their pets. Now, I've owned Akitas for a long time, but I've never, ever let one off the lead. And I would be the first one to turn around and say he's got a great temperament, he loves people, he loves children, he gets on great with everyone, but I'll never walk him off the lead because I know there's always an underlying risk. And because I can't guarantee that safety, I feel much more comfortable walking him at arm's length on a short lead. And I think the British public have, you have a choice when you walk out of your house with a dog like that, with regards to whether you put it on a lead or not. If you choose not to put your dog on a lead, then I don't think that you're showing, your community or your environment the care and attention that you should be taking with regards to the safety and welfare of everybody that lives within it.
Now, you sound like a sensible and intelligent dog owner, Richie. Why we will get so many phone calls later in the show, and Justin will no doubt speak to so many people who say, oh, yeah, but my dog would never attack anybody. Why do people have that attitude?
I think it's... I think people are blinded by what I call textbook reading, which is certain breeds are put into categories of being family dogs, hunting dogs, gun dogs, and a lot of that is probably to do with the Kennel Society, the British Kennel Society, and Crufts. And I think we need to change people's perception. My dog has been walked on the lead for 10 years now. He's a great guy, lovable guy, but he's been attacked 6 times in that time. I've been bitten on 2 occasions trying to protect my dog, and he's been bitten by collies, Labradors. So to your point about Yorkshire Terriers and dogs like that, and there's no guarantees with any dogs, I've probably just supported that theory with regards to you wouldn't expect a Labrador or a collie to come running across the field and taking a bunch of fur out your dog, Yeah. And I always say to owners, because Shogun, that's his name, has done a great job of defending himself when he has to, but I've always said to owners that it's the mental scarring that you've just left your dog with, because it's now insecure, and it doesn't trust other dogs. So whatever social training or behavioural training it's had has probably just gone out the window.
Did you say your dog was called Shogun?
Yeah, that's his name.
After the Richard Chamberlain TV series?
Absolutely,
Good for you. Well done. Well done, Richard. And well done for being a sensible dog owner. Makes sense. He knows. He trusts his dog. He loves his dog. He knows what his dog's capable of. But he also knows that you can never be 100% sure of what a dog is going to do. However domesticated it is, it's still at heart a wild animal. 08459 455 555. You can go to facebook.com/BBC3CR. Lots of comments there. Gary says, I can't see that working. This is about tougher sentences on dog owners. How can they prove you own the dog? Oh, Gary. Very, very easily. Do you need me to go into detail? Richard says, if you can't control your dog, then you don't own one. No one forces anyone to have a pet, so if you can't handle the consequences when it goes wrong, then don't get one. Jennifer. Oh, really? Jennifer, you look so sensible in your photograph. Owners should lose their dog, not their freedom. Life in prison? Rapists don't even get that. Doesn't matter. You can't compare the two. Just because it's wrong that rapists, in your opinion, get shorter sentences doesn't mean that dog owners whose dogs kill people shouldn't get longer sentences. I understand you should be partly responsible, says Jennifer Jane, for training and maintaining your dog's behaviour, but fundamentally, they're animals. They have different instincts to us, and sometimes you just can't be responsible. You wouldn't go to prison if your child attacked someone. Well, you've kind of contradicted yourself there, Jennifer. You said that owners should be partly responsible, but fundamentally they're animals. They have different instincts to us, and sometimes you... So what happens, Jennifer, when a dog kills somebody? What then? We just go, well... Tell you what, let's kill the dog and we'll let the owner off, shall we? Is that what you're saying? Barry says, I don't think extraction of a dog's teeth is a good idea, as it can still gum a person. That's a distinct possibility. And James says, dog attacks someone equals owner gets life in prison. Stuart Hall indecently assaults 15 girls, gets 15 months later. Gets 15 months, later doubled to 30. Really? I wonder who's caused more scarring. Well, but James, I'm not saying that Stuart Hall shouldn't get a longer prison sentence. You can't compare the two. It's irrelevant. Just because Stuart Hall's sentence is ridiculously short, in your opinion, doesn't mean that dog sentences should stay short. We're talking about this because owners of dangerous dogs in England and Wales could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack members of public increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. Well, Jeremy Brown is the Home Office Minister, and this is what he had to say.
A number of people have said to us, and we are sympathetic to this argument, that the maximum 2-year sentence, which has existed for many, many years before we extended this legislation, the maximum 2-year sentence for having a dangerous dog that attacks somebody and even potentially kills that person is inadequate and should be longer.
Well, we're joined now by our reporter, Gavin Lee. Gavin, it's quite a leap from 2 years potentially to life. Why the change?
Yeah, well, the options are being put forward, which include life. I mean, it's a 2-month consultation, so that basically the government is saying the public needs to support the harsher sentence is if it's going to be a life sentence. So the penalty that people are asked to respond to is whether it should be 7 years, 10 years, 14 years, or life for the death of a person, for the injury of a person, or for the death of an assistance dog, a guide dog, for which we're told now there are an average of 10 deaths of guide dogs, certainly attacks, I should say, of guide dogs a month. That will be either 3 to 10 years in prison, so it is significant. I think part of the case for change has been a pretty successful petition from campaigners in recent months. There's been 4,000 people petitioning to Downing Street, including some of the families of children attacked by dogs, including the case, I think the trigger case was Jade Anderson in March, a 14-year-old girl killed by 4 dogs near Wigan, and the police had said they couldn't prosecute anyone because there's no evidence a crime had been committed under the current laws. Because
it was on private property, exactly. Of course. So the Jade story is very sad, and we've been looking at that this morning. There have been several significant high-profile cases, haven't there, recently?
Yeah, there have. In fact, there's been 16 deaths since 2005. And if you look at this infamous act now, the Dangerous Dogs Act of 1991, you talk to many politicians in Parliament and they will talk about how, as an example of knee-jerk sort of legislation to something, rushed legislation, this is probably the archetypal one. And there's been so much controversy over it. It, of course, banned 4 breeds of dog, including the pit bull type dog. It had certain legislation which many would say hasn't worked because there has been such a increase in the number of attacks. There's been an average in the last 5 years of about 210,000, we're told, by various unions, including one of the chief lobbyists for change and tougher legislation, the Communication Workers Union, who say 20,000 attacks have been on postmen and women. And there's this perception that it's trivial, they say. It's like a Dennis the Menace Beano type image, but it's a lot more serious. 6,000 people have been in hospital in the last 2 years. So we shall see. I think the fact that Downing Street have given out details of what the maximum could be, this life sentence for the owner, suggests that in 2 months' time at the end of this there will be some pretty news-grabbing headlines.
Gavin Lee, thank you very much. Well, what do you think, listening to that? 2 years isn't enough, is it? It won't be life. You won't get life imprisonment if your dog kills someone. I think it should be. I really do think it should be. How can people say it's not your responsibility? You own that dog. You have bought that potentially dangerous weapon. Of course it's your responsibility. Only an idiot would think otherwise. 08459 455 555. Right, coming up to 7:30, let's get the travel news, shall we?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Speed sensors showing no problems on the A1 or A1M through the counties so far this morning. No delays as you make your way down Bedfordshire or Hertfordshire in toward the M25. It's just slow once you start to make your way further into London, Edgware, from the Watford bypass at Apex Corner toward Mill Hill Circus. There's also delays around Edgware. Certainly the A41's got a lane closed at the minute westbound. It's a burst water main. They're doing emergency repairs. It's at the junction with Edgware-Bury Lane. M25 anti-clockwise starting to slow up now into the roadworks. It's looking quite busy as you go from Waltham Abbey toward Enfield Junction 26 to 25, and then past Enfield and Cheshunt toward Potters Bar is a wee bit slow as well. The M1 to Kings Langley looking busy too, and from Maple Cross to the M40 is slowing up quite considerably. Things looking good on the M1 though. The A5 in Dunstable a little bit busy between the two A505 junctions, and on the trains, after the problems earlier for Chiltern, which have since been resolved, there are no problems on the railways. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 7:30 news and sport now. Here's Catherine Boyle.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. The headlines. Owners of dangerous dogs could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack people increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. The government's preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety carried out by President Obama's former health advisor, and a new campaign's been launched to raise awareness of domestic violence in Milton Keynes.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England have retained the Ashes and are now focused on winning the series outright, according to their captain Alistair Cook. His side drew the third test at Old Trafford yesterday, giving them an unassailable 2-0 lead with 2 tests remaining. Batsman Kevin Peterson scored 113 in the final test to bolster England's position, a contribution not lost on Cook.
You know, I think he's now become England's leading run scorer in all cricket, and I think that's a great honour to have, I think, as a player, and a great achievement. He's a mighty fine player. You know, a great player, I think. You can put in that category now, and great players stand up at certain times when you really need them, and that innings he played was a great innings.
A pitch invasion marked the end of Preston's 1-0 Capital Cup win over Blackpool in Deepdale last night. The League One side scored late to beat the Championship side, prompting supporters to run onto the pitch, but the Blackpool manager Paul Ince was not impressed by the behaviour of rival fans.
We talk about the respect campaign, and we've seen enough incidents in football where fans are allowed to run the pitch. We've seen the goalkeepers get hit. We've seen players get punched. When are we going to learn? When are we going to learn? When we spend so much time worrying about referees and getting them fit and doing this. When are we going to learn about protecting players on the pitch? Because when you've got 200 Preston fans on the pitch and my players are still on the pitch, who knows? There's no control.
After standing down as Rangers chairman, Walter Smith has spoken of the highly dysfunctional environment at the club and urged supporters to back a proposed takeover in order to create stability. Meanwhile, Loic Remy says it will be a huge honour to play for Newcastle United following his move on a season-long loan from Queen's Park Rangers. The former Marseille striker passed a medical on Monday night. And that's your latest news and sport. I'll be back with more at 8 o'clock.
We're challenging the team down here, Catherine Boyle, being produced, in inverted commas and italics, by Lorna Hankin. Kelly Betts is down here. It's Kelly Betts' birthday. We're having a little bit of fun bullying her.
Right.
And I've been asking... Well, Lorna and Kelly, as you know, both, let's be honest, they're not very posh. And they've been doing their posh... Yeah, I know, harsh but fair, huh?
What are you talking about?
You see?
I don't know what you're saying.
I've been asking them... Right, so Kelly, just talk in your normal voice.
Hiya.
Right, there you go. See, common as.
It's like EastEnders.
And isn't it awful? Lorna, let's hear your normal voice.
All right.
There you go. Now... Let's hear... This is fun, Catherine. Let's hear them try and do their posh voice. Starting with birthday girl, Kelly Betts. Let's hear your posh voice.
Hello, Iain.
She sounds like a receptionist at a hooker's waiting room.
How do you know? Posh?
No, I don't. Lorna, let's hear... Lorna's is the best. This is how Lorna... Pretend you're speaking to a guest on the phone, Lorna.
Hello, BBC Three Counties Radio. How may I help? Sexual.
And the thing is, the northern accent is quite common as well. So let's hear your posh voice, Catherine.
Well, Iain Lee, I think you're a very impertinent fellow.
Are you doing a voice?
No, that's my normal voice.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the subject of dogs, Scott, I don't think you're taking this seriously enough. No, I don't mean dogs. I don't mean you. Oh, the look I've just got. I don't mean the ladies. I mean, we've been talking about... Oh, gosh. One of those moments. Anyway, on the subject of dogs we were talking about before my excellent team came on air, Scott says they should build dog prisons for dangerous dogs with dog wardens and dog courts. I don't think you're taking it quite as seriously as you should be. Coming up, we'll be taking more of your calls on dogs, also talking about, well, lots of things. It's a busy 30 minutes, shall we say, so let's crack on. A former advisor to President Obama, no less, will publish his review into NHS safety later on today. Don Berwick was appointed by David Cameron following the scandal at Mid Staffordshire Hospital and has headed a 3-month review looking into more transparency in the NHS. Well, Watford General have released the number of serious incidents at their hospital in the last year. It was 83. Jackie Ardley is chief nurse at West Herts NHS Trust, which covers Watford General. Jackie, good morning. 83 serious incidents in the last year. Can you put that into context? I don't know if that's good or bad.
Okay, yes, of course. We encourage our staff to over-report because we can always downgrade our incidents. And in fact, of those 83, only 55 were classed as serious incidents. And of that, 33 caused no harm. What we want to do is the more we encourage staff to over-report, we can drill down and actually understand. One incident, though, is one too many.
And you say that means that 22 of those incidents were very serious. One of them, I believe, including the death of a baby that could have been prevented.
Yes, and obviously we share with our patients and their family and relatives the report. I think what's important is, and I know other colleagues have spoken this morning, is how do we actually learn? How do we take that incident and ensure it doesn't happen again? How do we look at training? How do we look at that for the individual, our staff and the team as a whole?
Well, how do we learn from an incident like that? What lessons can be learnt from that?
I think what we do is we do what's called a root cause analysis. We do a drill down. We actually look at every part of the patient's journey and the family's journey and actually say, what do we need to do different? Do we need to change our policy? Do we need to change a procedure? And actually drill down right to the single most point so that actually for the pathway, for the care of somebody, we can deliver it in the way that we want for the next person.
Well, again, you're using lots of terms there. Sorry to pressure on this. No, just for terms that some of my listeners perhaps won't understand. I know I'm struggling with. When a baby does die unnecessarily, what actual lessons do you learn?
We would review an individual case. We would actually see what went wrong. What mistakes did we make? And then we would ensure that we don't make those mistakes again.
It's worth noting that many hospitals in Beds, Herts and Bucks haven't been as open as you. Do you think that they will be made to follow suit?
I think as a trust board, we're absolutely clear that we want to be open and transparent. We want to ensure not only that we report, that we show that we've learnt from our mistakes. And by doing that, we want to encourage our staff. I think a challenge for us is the way the media report these. What I don't want to happen, and I'm sure you wouldn't, is that being open stops our staff feeling they can report. A hidden mistake, a hidden incident would really not be good for our patients or our hospital.
Well, you can accuse the media of wetting things up, but it's the culture within a lot of hospitals, as we've seen, that is preventing people from speaking out. If someone dies unnecessarily, people will try and cover their backs, won't they?
No. I think the people...
North Staffordshire proves that people do.
You've just... I understand what you're saying. I'm saying in our organisation, we encourage our staff to report, to learn, to actually retrain if necessary, to actually improve the patient care.
What do you make of Don Berwick's appointment?
Okay, I absolutely, I've been a follower of Don Berwick for many years. I've taken many of his learning points forward in terms of zero tolerance. I think there's a challenge for us, this never-ending quest to deliver no harm to our patients. We're very, very privileged when you work on the front line in the NHS. And I think we can only learn. And I think, listening or hearing what other people have said this morning, I think as an organisation we are taking the lessons from Francis. We're changing the way we're doing things. I think we also need to take on board what he says today and to see how we can implement those things.
Jackie Hardy, thank you very much. Chief Nurse at West Herts NHS Trust, covers Watford General. I didn't really hear what was being done differently. I know they're being more open, and they don't necessarily need to, but they are. But was it just me? Was I confusing the issue there? All I heard was, yes, we're doing things differently. We're going to need to drill down and focus on learn from our mistakes. Well, how are you learning from your mistakes? Well, we'll be drilling down. And was that just me? Am I being too harsh? 08459 455 555. Joined now by Catherine Murphy, who is the Chief Executive of the Patients Association, and is on the line. Catherine, do we need to have a culture of transparency in the NHS, do you think?
Absolutely. The NHS needs to be much more open and honest with patients and the public at large. The NHS is accountable to the public, and I think that's very often what many people within the NHS forgets. I think trust boards have a huge responsibility to make sure that every member of staff that works within the organisation is working, providing the highest quality, safest care to patients at all times. And I think there needs to be a culture of openness and honesty. And then we also need to move to an aspiration of zero harm at all times.
So zero harm means that patients not dying or not suffering through mistakes. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And patients and the public should not tolerate poor care and patient safety failures. And just because NHS service keep telling us that 90% of care is good, well, 10% of care is not good, and 10% is a huge statistical number. What the NHS should aspire to is getting it right every time for every patient.
Can the NHS get it right every time, though, Catherine? I mean, doctors and nurses are human. Things happen that are unpredictable. Can they get it right every single time?
Absolutely. And healthcare is very complex and is obviously very complicated. And we have got a lot of very, very elderly people with numerous multiple conditions. But zero harm is morally the right direction for every NHS in the country, every NHS hospital in the country to aspire to. And the public should not tolerate a single injury. What the NHS, and I know this has been repeated time and time again, but the NHS desperately needs a change and an attitude of culture where no harm should be regarded as acceptable.
Do you think enough is being done to prevent serious incidents from happening at hospitals?
I think we've had the biggest inquiry into the NHS, into Mid Staffordshire. The Robert Francis report into the care at Mid Staffordshire raised really, really serious challenges for the NHS. I think when that report was published back in February, it was a watershed moment for the NHS. And what the NHS now needs to do, and every trust board needs to do, is to get on with delivering the recommendations in the Francis report.
And do you think, I mean, a lot of what happened in Mid Staffordshire, I said North Staffordshire earlier, of course I mean Mid Staffordshire, a lot of what happened there was covered up because, for whatever reason. Are we coming away from that culture? Are we becoming more open, do you think? We heard there about Watford General, which is being more open. Is that the way that we're going as an NHS?
Watford General Hospital is a really good example where the board and the staff and the director of nursing, who you've just had on the line, they are desperately trying to do the right things. They're desperately trying to be sort of more open and honest, but they need to have started publishing meaningful information for the public at large. And that's what we, the Patients Association, and we hear on our helpline time and time again, where when somebody has raised a concern with a senior member of staff, the patient has been frightened to do so because very often they fear retribution and they feel that the staff won't take seriously what they have told, and the public, patients and the public, are never told about what the learning from their concern has been. So the Patients Association, we would urge all ward managers, directors of nursing and boards to get meaningful information for the public published on every ward. So having the staffing levels to patient ratio published, the infection control, how many infections have been on the ward, pressure ulcers, how many pressure ulcers, how many complaints the ward has had or the department has had in the last month, and what the learning has been from the concerns and complaints that have been raised by patients and the public.
Catherine Murphy, thank you, Chief Executive of the Patients Association. 08459 455 555, 7:45 exactly. Let's get the travel, shall we?
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
We've had reports of an accident on the A329 just across into Oxfordshire around Milton Common. Apparently it's completely blocked both ways and a resulting spill after the accident as well. Between the M40 at Junction 7, so that's Tame, and Chiltern View at Little Milton. So if you're heading that way this morning, the A329 we think is shut, but any further information on that would be very much appreciated. 08459 455 555. The A1 as you come southbound to the Black Cat roundabout starting to look slow in Roxton. Delays then all the way down the other end of the A1 as you come into London through Edgware. It's slow southbound from Apex Corner to Mill Hill Circus. Also trouble in Edgware on the A41. A burst water main went this morning, so they've closed the lane while they do emergency repairs westbound at Edgware-Bury Lane. The A10 in Enfield, that's busy from Bullsmore Lane to Southbury Road. It's also looking pretty slow past the A10 on the M25 with heavy traffic back from Waltham Abbey toward the A10 past Enfield and Cheshunt and then into the roadworks through toward Potters Bar. Heavy as well as you go anti-clockwise from the M1 to Kings Langley, Watford to Chorley Wood and from Maple Cross to the M40. No problems on the trains or tubes though. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. 7:46, it's Tuesday the 6th of August, just over 4 months till Christmas. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Owners of dangerous dogs could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack people increase from 2 years to life imprisonment. The government is preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety carried out by President Obama's former health advisor. In sport, the England cricket captain Alistair Cook says, yeah, we won a game of cricket, well done us. Coming up, dangerous dogs. If yours attacked someone, do you deserve to go to prison? Well, the answer very, very simple. Yes, of course you do. It's your responsibility. Before that, though, let's get the latest weather. Here's Elizabeth Rizzini.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, good morning. It's much better weather around today than we saw yesterday. For a start, it will be dry and there'll be lots of sunshine around, not only in the morning but also into the afternoon, although admittedly this afternoon we are expecting quite a lot of cloud to bubble up here and there, but it should stay dry. There'll be some spells of sunshine about here and there and temperatures not doing too badly at all. 22 or 23 degrees Celsius in Luton, in Aylesbury, St Albans and in Stevenage as well. So just creeping up towards 70 in Fahrenheit, really. It is a fresher feel to the day this morning. We're starting off the day around 11 or 12 degrees Celsius, but there is lots of sunshine about this morning. So yeah, we've lost the wet weather really that we saw yesterday. Some very high rainfall totals. Staying dry into this evening and overnight. Temperatures dropping to 12 or 13 degrees, bit nondescript tonight really. And then tomorrow a bit more in the way of cloud, a cloudier day with some scattered showers. They should be quite light through the afternoon, turning a bit windier as well towards the end of the working week. Temperatures again, the low 20s, lots of dry weather on offer and even a little bit of sunshine as well. That's the forecast.
Elizabeth?
Yes?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tony Blackburn on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'll be here all this week between 12 and 3 sitting in for Nick Coffer. There'll be the usual mix of local guests, advice and, of course, great music.
Tony Blackburn.
I want you to enjoy the music and have fun. That's what we're going to do between 12 and 3.
Tony Blackburn on BBC Three Counties Radio.
In fact, it'll be pop-a-diddle-tastic.
I love it! I love it! You lot don't know how lucky you are to have... Well, you know what? He's on every station at the moment, let's be honest. That man works like it's going out of fashion. But he's filling in for Nick Coffer this week. Tony Blackburn is a legend and one of the nicest blokes you could ever meet. Simple as. And it's an honour to have him here at BBC Three Counties Radio. Now, Owners of dangerous dogs in England and Wales could see the maximum sentence for allowing their pets to attack members of the public increase from 2 years, to life imprisonment. The government believes harsher penalties are needed for irresponsible owners and those who fail to prevent attacks on guide dogs. Well, last month, parents of children killed by dogs handed in a petition to Downing Street calling for action. It's one of those things that really annoys me. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. When you take your dog out, you muzzle it. When you have guests in your house, you muzzle it. Dogs are killing machines. Even those little horrible Yorkshire Terriers can kill a baby. Oh, no, not mine. Oh, no, not mine. No, my dog would never do... You don't know. They are wild animals. However much you train them, however much you domesticate them, you just don't know. Well, Justin Dealey has been out and about. Morning, Justin.
Morning, boss.
You all right?
Yes, yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Have you managed to find anybody who will admit that their dog has bitten someone?
Yes, I have this morning, actually.
Really?
This is a clip of Ruth. Now, she owns George, a 9-year-old Patel Terrier, a cute-looking dog. Now,
a Patel Terrier?
Yeah, a Patel Terrier. Maybe
Not
somebody
heard of
else
that.
has got one. No.
Okay.
Very good-looking dogs, but this dog has bitten somebody. Now, we do get to this point eventually, but I put the point to Ruth. I asked her whether she should go to prison if her dog attacks somebody, and this is what she had to say.
No. Depends on the circumstances.
But if he was to be in this car park now with me, and I'm walking back to my car, and he attacks me, you're responsible for that dog, aren't you?
You're right, I am, yes.
So maybe you should go to prison.
If you put your hand in my car and he attacks you, then no.
I mean, has he ever given you any cause for concern at any point?
In what respect?
Has he ever attacked somebody or been close to attacking somebody?
In the car? Yeah. He's bitten people when they put their hand in the car.
Was that because somebody was trying to break into the car?
No, not at all. I was parked at a garage quite some years ago now, parked at a garage, and it was a hot day. I left the windows open. A little girl put her hand in the car when I was in the shop, and he bit her. He didn't attack her, he just bit her.
But you think that's acceptable because that's your property?
Yes. I felt guilty because I had the windows open, and she was a little girl, but, yeah.
Hang on a minute. Sorry? Did she say that she wasn't... the little girl was responsible because she put her hand in the window?
Yep.
It is that kind of selfish behaviour that really annoys me. It really... Without speaking about that woman specifically, that kind of attitude, I think is very selfish. Justin? Oh, Justin, have you dropped off? I thought he had. We'll go back to Justin in a second, if we can. He has spoken to some other dog owners, so let's have a little listen to those, shall we?
So you've got 3 dogs with you today. Yep. If your dog was to attack somebody, do you think that you should go to prison?
Depends on the person, because it's not the dog, it's the owner itself.
How would you class yourself as an owner then?
Responsible dog owner. I know these. I've got 2 Jet Russells and a Lurcher. I know they wouldn't touch a human being.
Sorry to give you a grilling first thing in the morning, but how do you know they wouldn't attack somebody? This is the point we're trying to get to this morning. How do you honestly know?
Well, you've got to know the dog. Humans treat dogs as humans, and they're not their dogs. So I'm the alpha male of this pack here, and they do 99.9% of the time what I tell them.
So you're saying they're safe? Again, this morning, I've got no reason to doubt you, but if they were to attack me now and put me in hospital for no reason, because any dog concern, do you think then you would deserve to go to prison? Because ultimately, you're responsible for these dogs.
I think a substantial fine and a life ban on keeping animals. A prison sentence is out of the question because they're chock-a-block now anyway.
Well, they're talking today about life imprisonment. What's your reaction to that?
Pathetic, as per usual, yeah.
Good morning, madam. What's your name?
Jackie Britton.
Jackie, you've got so many dogs here. How many have you got here?
We've got 4 dogs, 2 rescue dogs, these 2. 2 rescue dogs from Albury Dog Rescue at Clapham at Bedford.
And they're all your own?
They're all our own, yes.
If one of them was to attack somebody and hurt them badly, you as the owner, do you think you would deserve to go to prison?
Probably yes, because you don't know how much damage your dog can do. My dogs are quite small, but nevertheless they can still do quite a lot of harm. I'm very, very careful with them, very, very careful. But yes, I think so. I think with the trouble with a lot of the bull breeds and some of the bigger dogs, I mean, we used to have a bull terrier years ago, and we had to be careful with her because they've got the power in them. They've got the power in them. Yes, I do, and I also think dogs should be licensed.
It's fascinating what you're saying. Most dog owners this morning are saying to me, my dog, he wouldn't hurt anybody, he's good as gold. But you've got a different sort of attitude, haven't you?
Because you've always got to be careful. There's always the unknown. I mean, we train our dogs, we are very careful with our dogs, we exercise our dogs, but at the end of the day, there's always that small chance that they could hurt somebody. And yes, I think you should. I think the fine should be far more serious as well.
But if your dog was to attack somebody, you'd hold your hands up and say, I'm responsible, I deserve to go to prison.
Yes, I would, actually. Yes, I would.
Back now, are you, Justin?
I'm back indeed.
Okay, sorry about that. People have been fine. It does strike me incredible that a significant percentage of dog owners think they do not have responsibility. A little girl put her hand in my car window. Well, that's your fault. That's your responsibility.
Well, it's a difficult one to draw the line with that. I mean, obviously, we've heard two different opinions there. Somebody saying, my dogs are safe, I know they're safe.
Oh, I'm the alpha male. Yeah. Jog on, fella, jog on.
But the other lady's saying that I've got dogs here, and yes, at any point they could turn, they are dangerous. But to go back to Ruth, and again, she admitted, fair play today, she admitted to us that a dog had bitten somebody. She didn't have to do that, but that's a difficult one for me, because she wasn't taking her dog for a walk in the park and she's attacked a child. That child is actually technically on her property, putting her hand into her vehicle. So it's a difficult one for me to kind of draw the line on, really.
If I put my hand in your vehicle, would you bite me, Justin?
I wouldn't bite you, but if I had a dog, then again, that dog may well bite you, because they're protecting that vehicle, aren't they, surely?
Justin, thank you very much. Let's go to Raymond in Dunstable. Morning, Raymond.
Good morning.
Longer prison sentences for dog owners if their dogs attack people. Makes sense, doesn't it?
It does for guide dogs, I'm afraid, being a guide dog owner.
Oh, yes.
And a friend of mine, her dog was bitten by attacked by a staffy, and her guide dog now has to be retrained because she's scared of going out. And that means that the owner can't go out on her own now because she's totally blind, and she needs a dog to take her to places. And so they've had to retrain. They are in the process of retraining the dog. But a lot of these guide dogs, people forget that they're our eyes. We rely on them so much. And for dogs like that to attack humans and other guide dogs, yes, I think they should go to prison.
Guide dogs are so, by their very nature, they are so placid and docile, and they have to be.
Yeah.
And for another dog to go for a guide, I think it's something like 10 attacks on guide dogs a month.
There are, yeah.
It seems incredible that at the moment the worst that owner is going to get is a little slap on the wrist.
Yes, yeah. Well, they are bringing in the law, aren't they, now? Because that dog that attacked my friend's dog, attacked the guide dog, that dog has been put down now because it's attacked a lot of dogs in the area.
Well, Raymond, we're going to move on, but the fact it's taken it attacking a lot of dogs for that to happen seems incredible. Pat's in Houghton Regis. Morning, Pat.
Good morning.
The tougher sentences on dog owners.
Well, firstly, if they're serious, this government, about doing anything, first of all, pass a law that says any dog off a lead is a minimum fine of £1,000 in a public area. Doesn't matter what part of the country it's in, straight away you're going to get those owners who've got to put their dogs on the lead. So that's going some way towards it. Stiffer sentences, yes. I mean, I've got an English Bull Terrier. I've had 4 of them. And the first one that I had, I always said to my wife, if it ever bared its teeth at anybody in my house, I'd have that dog put down. And it did. It did to the guitar teacher that come to my house. And the dog was 4 years old. And next day, straight to the vets, down it went. There's no qualms about it because it's quite a dangerous dog to have if it turns like that.
So you had it put down because it bared its teeth?
Exactly, yes. It showed something I've never seen in the dog before.
Yeah.
And that was real true aggression.
Well, that seems... having it put down just for baring its teeth, couldn't you have muzzled it?
I could have muzzled it, but to me, that dog then become unreliable. If I've got children, I've got grandchildren...
Well, couldn't you have taken it to the RSPCA or a rescue centre or something? Having it put down just for showing its natural instinct seems a little harsh.
It wasn't a natural instinct to me. That dog just turned on the... And that, if I wasn't around, and that dog's quite a strong dog, it'd be hard to control.
OK, Pat, we have to... And that seems a little bit harsh. I would have thought you could have muzzled it or taken it to an RSPCA centre. Anyway, got to move on. Here's the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still got reports of problems on the A329 just across into Oxfordshire around Milton Common. Apparently an accident and a spillage has closed the road between the M40 at Tame and Chiltern View. The A1 is looking slow coming down to the Black Cat roundabout. Some short delays now on the A1M southbound with heavy traffic passing Junction 7 at Stevenage, and the A1 into London still looking slow round Edgware from Apex Corner to Mill Hill Circus. And problems on the A41 in Edgware. There's a lane closed westbound because of a burst water main. Emergency repairs continue past Edgware-Bury Lane. The A41 in Aylesbury is looking quite slow this morning. It's particularly busy from the Esso roundabout toward Broughton Lane. As you head in toward Enfield, the A10 is looking busy from Bullsmore Lane to Southbury Road. Past Enfield on the M25 anti-clockwise looking busy into the roadworks. It's also queuing from Chorleywood to the M40 anti-clockwise junction 18 to 16 and slow clockwise going past the A1M, again by the roadworks. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. If you own a dog and it attacks someone, life imprisonment, it sounds about right to me. 08459 455 555. Let's get the news and sport now with Catherine Boyle.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. The headlines: tougher sentences for dangerous dog owners, future of Royal Train in doubt, and concern grows for missing Milton Keynes girl.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Dog owners who allow their pets to attack members of the public could face life in prison under government proposals to clamp down on dangerous dogs. A 1-month consultation on harsher sentences is being launched. David Bowles from the RSPCA welcomed tougher sentences, but said that issuing dog control notices to owners could stop the attacks happening.
What the government has proposed is only having a notice after the dog has committed the offence. We believe if you actually want to drive down dog bites and improve the people's control over dogs, and let's not forget it's people that are at fault here, not the dogs themselves, then we need to have some sort of preventative measure.
The government is preparing to publish a review of NHS patient safety in England carried out by President Obama's former health advisor, Professor Don Berwick. Here's our health correspondent, Adam Brimelow.
Professor Berwick is an international authority on patient safety and noted supporter of the NHS. He advocates a culture where no harm should be regarded as acceptable, drawing on lessons learned from airlines and other industries. Central to this, he argues, are openness and honesty among staff and managers and a willingness to learn from mistakes. He says that's already happening in the NHS in Scotland, which has a national patient safety programme. The Patients Association says these themes have already been developed in detail in the recent public inquiry into the scandal at Mid Staffordshire. It says what's needed now is action rather than more reports.
Union leaders are warning that the future of the Royal Train is in doubt following the announcement of more than 150 job losses at Railcare in Wolverton. The firm has been maintaining the Royal Train, which has been based at the Buckinghamshire depot for almost a century, but called in administrators last week. The Rail, Maritime and Transport Union is pushing for Railcare to be taken into public ownership. A 16-year-old girl has been reported missing in Milton Keynes. Thug Hong Aguyen, also known as Thuyang Nguyen, was last seen in Aldbrook on the 18th of July when she said she was going to Eaglestone. She's described as Vietnamese, 4 feet 4 inches tall and slim, with long black hair in a ponytail. She was last seen wearing a green top and beige skirt with white sandals. A new initiative has been launched in Milton Keynes in a bid to break the taboo surrounding domestic violence. There were more than 32,000 cases in the Thames Valley area between 2011 and 2012, with 5,500 incidents reported in Milton Keynes alone. Colleen Kelly works for MK Act, the organisation behind the new Let's Talk campaign.
It's such a taboo and difficult and complex issue. It's kind of, a lot of the time it's been put on the too difficult pile. So I think that it's really important that we're having a conversation, bringing things out into the light and enabling people to feel comfortable and start thinking about asking for help.
The weather, dry with bright or sunny spells and a top temperature of 23 degrees Celsius, that's 73 Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Talk about bullying at work. I'm 40 years old, I'm being bullied by a 19-year-old. This is outrageous behaviour. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up on the show today. Lots of calls coming in about dangerous dogs. All dogs are dangerous. Why can't you see that? Why don't you understand that? If you're an owner of a dog and it attacks someone, you should face a tough prison sentence. You are responsible for it, of course. 08459 455 555. Other things we are discussing today include... Ever been a victim of domestic violence? Well, MPs in Milton Keynes are calling for tougher action against people who abuse their partners. Also, would you know what to do in an emergency? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
There were more than 32,000 cases of domestic violence across Thames Valley in 2011-2012, including 5,500 in Milton Keynes alone. But MK Act, which aids victims of domestic abuse, believes the number of victims is hugely underreported. The Let's Talk campaign in Milton Keynes has been launched to raise awareness of domestic violence and sexual harassment. Among those championing the campaign are Milton Keynes MPs Mark Lancaster and Iain Stewart. Well, Mr. Lancaster joins me on the line now. Morning, Mark. What is the idea behind this campaign and how did you get involved?
Well, the Let's Talk campaign is very much a local initiative that Iain Stewart and I launched on the 8th of March to coincide with the International Women's Day. We wanted to encourage a public discussion about the issue of domestic violence in a broader sense and to make sure that young people were involved, because all too often in domestic violence, of course, people feel very reluctant to report their concerns, and all too often it's very much hidden behind closed doors. So we tried to bring it out in the open and to make sure that people were aware of where they can get support from MK Act, and we seem to have been successful in that with a rise of 14% of people contacting the organisation, but also really try and make sure that organisations were aware as to where they could signpost people when they were suffering.
5,500 in Milton Keynes, 2011 to 2012. It is going to be significantly more than that, isn't it? Because of the very nature of the control and the fear that's engendered through domestic abuse.
Absolutely. I think it's considerably more than that. I mean, it's very hard to put a number on it. And it's quite interesting, of course, that whilst the majority of people who suffer domestic violence are women, about 20% are men. And men are much, much less likely to report it from women for sort of obvious reasons.
It's all very well having a forum to talk about it, but is this going to produce real results, Mark? Is this going to help people and get people out of these horrific situations?
Well, we do hope so. We are very keen that it wasn't just going to be a talking shop. So we've involved both the Equality Council, MK College, and also Milton Keynes Council, who, as a result of this sort of campaign, and we're getting probably 30 or 40 people turning up to each of our meetings from all sorts of different groups, are going to publish a new policy about how we can bring together various groups within Milton Keynes to make sure that we can bring domestic violence outside the front door, as it were. But also, of course, one of the big things that has happened recently is that there's been a change of definition of domestic violence to bring 16 to 19-year-olds into it as well, which, of course, is very relevant, not so much directly with domestic violence, but also bullying and other aspects, which can then subsequently lead to domestic violence.
The campaign ends in November, Mark. What happens then? Do we kind of look at something else, a different problem? Do we forget about it?
Well, we say it ends in November. I think that's going to be the initial stage. I mean, it's really without sounding totally Churchillian, that will be the end of the beginning, where actually at that point we hope to be able to get a revised policy here in Milton Keynes to bring these organisations together. And then at that point, no, it certainly won't end per se, but we hope to have a policy in place. And then, of course, on a regular basis, we're going to keep the group together to see how this policy is working. It's all very well to set up a policy, but if it doesn't actually work, then, of course, it needs to be revised and constantly monitored. But as I say, we've had some initial success. The very fact that we brought this out to the open in Milton Keynes, and we're getting a greater sense of referrals to MK Act, means that people are more prepared to talk about it than they were before.
Mark, thank you very much. Keep up the good work. We know that we will follow this and see how it progresses. That's Mark Lancaster, MP. talking about MK Act, which aids victims of domestic abuse.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
We've got an anonymous text. I don't normally read anonymous ones, but I shall read this one because of the subject. I suffered a form of domestic violence by my husband's younger brother whilst I was living in my in-laws' house. I just had my son, who was a month and a half, and we were both subjected to a horrible form of mental abuse. My brother-in-law would constantly shout, scream, swear, and throw mine and my baby's things out of the house. He would kick at my bedroom door. His behaviour was disgusting. He would constantly hide my baby's milk and bottles and would be verbally abusive to me at all times of the day and night. My husband, who I am now divorcing, and his family sat and did nothing. My mother-in-law still claims I was wrong to leave and should have stayed like a good daughter-in-law and tolerated my brother-in-law's so-called stress. I left the day things started to get more physical. Please mention that mental abuse is also a form of domestic violence. Well, I think that, yes, that was definitely mentioned in the last thing. I am Muslim and want to say that there is a lot of mental abuse in various communities of Muslims in England. 81333. Start your text 3CR if you want to get in touch. On the subject of dogs. Dawn, we spoke to, well, Justin spoke to someone earlier on whose dog was in a car with the window open. A little girl put her hand in, and the dog bit the hand. Surely the little girl should have known never to approach strange dogs. If not, who was responsible for her? Who allows their child to roam around parked cars anyway? Nick says, if you're stupid enough to enter someone's house uninvited or put your hand through a car window, don't be surprised if a dog bites you. The animal is protecting its environment. And Steve says, dogs are social animals who need extensive space to exercise. Anyone who has a dog and is unable to offer most of their time and provide expansive space for the animal to enjoy is irresponsible from my view. We've had an email here, which I wasn't going to read out, but I am going to read out. Is this not the same? No. It might be the same one. This is from another Steve. Iain, the solution is to dangerous dogs. The solution is to lower benefits, to make it impossible to own any dog larger than a Chihuahua, and ban all those convicted of drugs offences from any kind of dog ownership. It's always the same types who have out-of-control dogs. I've just put that out there. 08459 455 555. Been talking about the NHS today. Does it need to be more open? An advisor to President Obama has been looking at the NHS for 3 months and is going to publish a report today. Dina's in Royston. Morning, Dina.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Dina. What would you like to say about this?
I'd like to say that we are so lucky to have free NHS in this country because I come from Uganda.
Oh.
And I think I never went to hospital or anything like that. My mother did all the Ayurveda because we didn't trust the doctors and what the medication they gave us. And since I've been in this country, the national health has helped me to, the quality of my life is so good. And I think people should appreciate that we have this beautiful service here, and people are bound to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So if they make a mistake, then we have to tell them to say, okay, this is a mistake, don't do it like this, do it like that.
But Dina, there are
just discredit them, and I think I feel very cross when people just...
Well, but Dina, there are mistakes where people might get given the wrong medicine or told the wrong thing, but then there are also mistakes, like the incident we reported in Watford General, where a baby dies that didn't need to die.
Yeah, but I feel, I believe in karma, and I think that baby perhaps didn't want, God didn't want that baby to live.
Well,
so
now...
it had to happen.
Now,
the baby died because it's going to a better place.
Dina.
Yeah?
That isn't going to make the parents feel any better, and with the greatest of respect, that's nonsense. Baby didn't die.
I feel that, if something negative happens, then we have to turn it into a positive.
What positive, Dina?
We can't do anything about
Dina,
it. Yes?
I'm finding this incredible. What positive is there in a baby dying unnecessarily? Dying because someone made a mistake? Where's the positive in that?
No, because they are going to learn from that mistake, so no, it's not going to happen again. So that.
But it happened once. A baby dying once unnecessarily because of a mistake is too many.
I think the parents should be proud of that because the baby actually sacrificed itself to make these things, to say, okay, you make a mistake and make sure that you don't do it, so none of the babies ever going to suffer what she suffered. So sometimes somebody has to make a sacrifice so that the other people don't.
You just said, Dina, you just said the parents should be proud because the baby sacrificed itself.
Yes.
The baby had no choice in it, Dina.
Yeah, but I think from that mistake, but whatever has happened, so they cannot change it. You see, the parents cannot.
But it sounds like you're
They
being very
die.
demeaning to the parents' grief.
But it's going to help the parents as well if they try to turn it.
How is it going to help the is this real? How is it going to help the parents' grief? How is it going to help the parents that their baby died?
Life, something bad, really bad has happened to me. Then I see, right? Okay, this person has really got hurt, and this person has lost his arm. I can't do anything about it. So I said, what positive I can get out of it? So I said, okay, he's lost his arm, but now he never used to use his left hand, but he's using his left hand. So that's a positive.
Okay, what's the positive? First of all, you're mentioning karma. Are you saying somehow it's the parents' fault that their child died?
No, I'm not
okay.
saying it's parents'
What's the
fault.
positive?
No.
What's the positive that the parents of a child who died unnecessarily in hospital are going to get out of that horrific situation? Where's the positive for the parents?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that the parents can't do anything about it. They know the child is gone, it's not going to come back, so the parents have to turn it into positive to say, okay, this...
Some people might take that as what yours... Some people...
is gone, I know we can't do anything, but this mistake is perhaps going to help the future baby so that this thing doesn't happen again.
There are some people, Dina, who might say that your attitude is quite heartless and cold.
It's not heartless. I think it's a really beautiful perspective. That's why in my life, I think I have helped so many people to overcome all the sorrow and all the negativity, and I have made so many people very proud of themselves. I have that gift to say, turn everything that happens.
I can't listen to that anymore. I find that absolutely incredible. Thought it was worth pursuing and to see if we could get to something. Thank you, Dina, but I'm speechless. I'm actually speechless. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you're heading as far as Great Milton this morning, the A329 is closed after the accident earlier and an oil spill left behind. This is shut between Tame Road in Great Milton and Chiltern View in Little Milton. Recovery work continues. Sensors showing that traffic seems to be coping well around the closure. The A1 looking busy at the Black Cat roundabout. The speed sensors picking up delays back almost as far as Eton-Soken. Slow then in a little patch past Stevenage at junction 7 of the A1M. And looking into London, the A41 through Edgware westbound. You have a lane closed because of a burst water main. This is at Edgware-Bury Lane. The A41 leaving Aylesbury still looking quite slow from the Esso roundabout toward Broughton Lane. And on the M25, clockwise, you have slow-moving traffic going into the roadworks past the A1M. Anti-clockwise is slow past Chesington to the works at junction 25, and it's also busy from Chorleywood to the M40. Trains and tubes, though, are running well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Adam?
Yes.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You sound a bit down today.
Oh, not again.
No, is everything okay? You normally you're perky, full of life. We can't shut you up. But today you're a bit. Is everything all right? You don't have to tell me. But
I think I just need a cup of tea.
Good. Then off you go, sir. Off you go. 8:17. It's Tuesday, the 6th of July. August. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Owners who allow their dogs to attack members of the public could face life in prison under a clampdown proposed by the government. The results of a review of NHS patient safety are set to be published later by President Obama's former health advisor, Professor Don Berwick. In sport, England cricket captain Alastair Cook has urged his side to go on and win the series against Australia. Coming up, how good is your eyesight? The road safety charity Break want us to get our eyes tested every 2 years. Are they having a laugh?
BBC Three Counties Radio.
They're down on their blocks then.
From this weekend on the BBC.
And the stage is set for a mighty battle.
The world's best come together in Moscow.
Away they go then.
For the biggest athletics event of the year.
And if you didn't think that James Dassaulu had arrived, he certainly has now.
Double goal for Shake Drayton. The performance of her life. Mo Farah seems to have kicked again. What a race.
The World Championships.
Bolt pulls away.
That guy erupted out the blocks.
Starts Saturday, live across the BBC.
I'm still in shock with Dina's call there. I'm in shock. I could have spoken to her for a longer or less. Either would have been completely justified. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? When did you last have your eyes tested? And can you see the road signs when you're driving? Well, the road safety charity Break is launching a new campaign to get drivers to get their eyesight tested every 2 years to ensure their vision meets legal standards and they aren't putting people in danger. They found in a survey that more than a quarter of drivers haven't had their eyes tested in the last 2 years. Well, Ellen Booth is from Break. Morning, Ellen. Eyes tested every 2 years? That's a little bit over the top, isn't it?
Not at all. I mean, actually, most optometrists would say, even when you don't think about driving, that you should be getting your eyes tested every 2 years.
Well, they would do because they make money out of it.
Oh, well. I mean, what I would say is this is the same advice that the DVLA gives. Actually, your eyesight can deteriorate quite a lot within a 2-year period, and you wouldn't necessarily notice it. It's also the case that eye health conditions like glaucoma, etc., if you're going every 2 years, they can pick that up and they can prevent a lot of long-term damage if you're getting your eyes regularly tested. So there's a lot of reasons why you should be doing. I mean, actually, let's get back to basics here. You need to be able to see properly and meet those minimum standards in order to be a safe driver. It's one of the most basic things about driving. If you can't see hazards up ahead, if your peripheral vision isn't good enough, then you can't be a safe driver because you can't see when you need to stop in an emergency, you can't read signs, etc. So it's one of the most basic things that you need to get. And what we're really saying today is that you give your car a regular MOT. Let's be making sure as a driver you're getting.
It's a bit patronising, Ellen. We need to get our eyes tested 2 years. Of course we don't. I haven't had my eyes tested for about 5 years, and they're absolutely fine.
Well, you don't know that they're fine.
Well, I do know that they're fine because I do know they're fine because I can see. I can see quite a good distance. I can read stuff that other people can't read in the distance. It's a little bit patronising to say every 2 years.
Well, what you don't know as well is about your peripheral vision, glare sensitivity. If you talk to an optician about it, they'll tell you there are a number of different things that you simply can't tell. And actually, you can lose up to 40% of your vision and still think that your vision hasn't changed. So listening to experts
who charge money for this. I know you dismissed that comment with a sigh, but optometrists want us to go in more often because they make money out of it, of course. That's their business.
They're health practitioners.
Well, they're private
GPs
businesses.
would give you the same advice. The DVLA would give you the same advice. Academics who work in this field would give you the same advice. I'm giving you the same advice, and I don't make money out of eye tests.
No, I know you don't, but you do have an agenda. I do just think, I know we're running out of time, and I could talk to you about this all morning because it's quite good fun, but it does come across as a little bit patronising. Yes, there are people who have eye conditions, but to say we have to get our eyes tested every 2 years, we could have a heart attack at the wheel. Should we get our hearts checked every 2 years? Where do we stop?
It's a completely different thing. Eyesight is a basic fundamental.
Heart beating is a basic fundamental of being able to drive a car.
At the end of the day, there are 2,900 casualties every year because of poor eyesight, and that's why I'm talking about this. We're a charity that supports people who are bereaved and injured. This is a really serious issue, and we're trying to prevent casualties, and this is why we're urging everybody to get their eyes tested.
Well, you need a heart to function while you're driving as well, so the two things aren't completely separate. Ellen, I'm going to end it there. What do you think? Get your eyes tested every 2 years. Sounds very patronising to me. My eyes are fine. Yes, there are some people whose eyes are not fine, but to get them tested every 2 years? Oh, come on. For goodness sakes. What do you think? Am I being a bit harsh there? 08459 455 555. Where on earth are you, JVS?
I'm in a luxury studio.
Oh, you sound much better than you normally do. Whatever effect they've got on your voice, keep it, bottle it, bring it back.
Do I?
Yes, booming.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm happy to do my show from this studio. It's very luxurious.
Is it not? Because let's be honest, I do enjoy working at Three Counties Radio. The studios are a little bit tatty, aren't they?
Tatty? You could pick something up from them. As I frequently have.
Well, that's your excuse, is it? I got it from the studio. I was sitting on a dirty chair. So you are coming from a luxury studio, I know, because you're doing other bits and pieces. Describe it to me, JVS. Make me envious.
Well, I'm sitting at my desk. I'll tell you what. I'll tweet you a picture. I've got very special buttons everywhere. It's everything's just new. It's rather nice. I've been sitting here listening to you arguing with everyone. What's going on with you today?
I'm having a midlife crisis.
You are picking a fight with everyone.
Get your eyesight tested every 2 years. For goodness sake, stop patronising me.
2 people in a row now, I've heard you cut off and say, "Oh, I've had enough of this."
In all honesty, though, you would agree that they were both justified, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes.
When did you last have your eyes tested?
About 4 years ago.
Oh, then you're a danger on the roads, Jonathan.
Well, they told me I need glasses, but I hate them.
Oh.
I did try wearing spectacles for a while, with on a spectacle chain round my neck.
Hello, Larry Grayson.
Yes, but I didn't get on with them very well, so I don't wear them anymore.
Okay. Now, what's happening on your show? People can still call in today, can they? Technology's good enough for that to work. Okay,
of course.
Good. All right.
The usual JVS show continues from 9 this morning, and coming up on the big phone-in, are tougher sentences the best way to stop dog attacks? The owners of dogs that attack and kill someone could face life in prison under new proposals for England and Wales. The current maximum prison sentence for allowing a dog that kills or injures someone is 2 years, but under a government consultation, respondents will be asked to select the most appropriate sentence for a fatal dog attack from 7 years to life. But prison sentences, of course, are punishment. Perhaps what we really need is prevention instead. Whatever your experience, whatever your view, I want you to pick up the phone. Let me know from 9 this morning. Are tougher sentences the best way to stop dog attacks? 08459 455 555.
Thank you very much, JVS. Speak to you later.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ta.
Email
3cr@bbc.co.uk.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
April's in Luton. Good morning, April.
Good morning.
Am I going to cut you off as well? I'm getting annoyed again this morning. I'm trying to calm down. I'm getting annoyed.
No, just go get your eyes tested. At your age, you need to.
Oh, get knotted. What do you mean at my age?
Well, now that you're getting older, you need to get your eyes tested on a regular basis.
We're all getting older. Listen, this is the challenge. I have better eyesight than anybody working here at BBC Three Counties Radio, than anybody listening to this radio show.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, I do know about that. My eyesight...
exceptional eye tests. I've got exceptional eyesight, and my eye test person, what are they called? I can never say
We call them opticians in this country.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
He says that I've got excellent eyesight.
I challenge you to an eyesight off. I can read the bottom line of the eye chart.
So can I. Well
I
done.
can read that sign behind Kelly Betts.
What, through her?
Well, no, she's kind of tiny, so I can see it over her head.
I can't see that side from here.
Well, who's the winner now, huh, April? Dave's in Luton. Morning, Dave. Dave?
Sorry?
Hello?
Sorry.
You're
Ian.
apologising in advance for your lacklustre phone call, are you? Good. Well, that's what we need.
Talking now, you rushed straight in and said, "Oh, Dave."
Yes, because April's been cut off now. It's the third person in a row I've cut off. Do you want to make it 4? Go ahead, punk. Was it 3 or was it 4 people I cut off? I don't remember. Go ahead, punk. Make my day.
You do that to me. You leave me standing while I'm talking to myself. Do you know what I mean? Anyhow, but talking about eyes. Has he gone again? Where's Justin, my mate? Oh, flipping heck. Yes? This is costing the BBC money.
Why?
This is costing the BBC money.
Why?
Hold on. Why? Yo!
Thanks for calling, Dave.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If you'd left that much longer, I think you might have run the risk of the emergency tape kicking in. Dear, oh dear. At the A329 in Great Milton, it's closed. There was an accident earlier. Recovery work continues. This is between Tame Road in Great Milton and Chiltern View in Little Milton. Traffic seems to be getting round okay. Halton Village. The road through Halton Village has been closed following an accident in, this is Western Turville. A motorbike involved between Brook End at Western Turville and Chestnut Avenue in Halton. The road likely to be shut for the remainder of this morning, so it's closed between Brookend and Chestnut Avenue there. The A41 in Aylesbury still looking slow from the Esso roundabout to Broughton Lane. Beaconsfield slow on the A355 this morning. Queues southbound from Longbottom Lane down to the A40. The A1 queues in Roxton at the Black Cat roundabout. It's heavy then on the A1M as you go southbound past Stevenage, and then into London. The A41 Edgware Way westbound. Burst water main means a lane closed for emergency repairs at Edgware Bree Lane. M25 clockwise slow into the roadworks past the A1M, anti-clockwise a bit slow round Cheshunt, and also queues from Chorleywood to the M40. Trains and tubes running well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. If you own a dog and it attacks someone, you should go to prison for more than 2 years. I think you should face life imprisonment. You have bought a dangerous weapon. You should be responsible for it. If you disagree with that, you're a fool. 08459 455 555. Facebook.com/BBC3CR, or you can text 81333. Start your text 3CR. Coming up to 8:30, let's get the latest news and sport now. Here's Catherine Boyle.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. The headlines. Owners who allow their dogs to attack members of the public could face life in prison under a clampdown proposed by the government. Concern is growing for the safety of 16-year-old Vietnamese girl Phu Yang Nguyen, who's been missing from Oldbrook in Milton Keynes since the 18th of July. And the result of a review of NHS patient safety is set to be published later by President Obama's former health advisor, Professor Don Berwick.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England have retained the Ashes and are now focused on winning the series outright, according to their captain Alistair Cook. His side drew the third test at Old Trafford yesterday, giving them an unassailable 2-0 lead with 2 tests remaining.
The first objective was to retain the Ashes, and now, we want to go and win them. I think it's shown this test match how competitive Australia are, and we played very well at Lord's. And, they played very well here, but we showed a lot of fighting character to get through this game. And we need to up our levels a little bit at Durham.
A pitch invasion marred the end of Preston's 1-0 Capital Cup win over Blackpool at Deepdale last night. The League One side scored late to beat the Championship side, prompting supporters to run onto the pitch. During the incident, one steward was injured by a police horse and taken to hospital. The Blackpool manager, Paul Lynch, was frustrated.
What's it going to take for someone to be stabbed before we actually wake up and smell the coffee? Especially a game like this. It's a big derby, massive derby, high-intensity game. You can't just let 200 Preston fans run on the pitch when our players are on the pitch. And that's something we need to look at. But we don't. We'll have to wait for something to really happen for us to say, let's do something about it. And there's been enough incidents in the last 2 or 3 years when we should be seriously getting our heads together and doing something about it.
Paul Ince there. Loic Remy says it will be a huge honour to play for Newcastle United following his move on a season-long loan from Queen's Park Rangers. The former Marseille striker passed a medical on Monday night. Meanwhile, the Fulham manager Martin Jol has confirmed he's close to signing Queen's Park Rangers forward Adel Tarabt on a season-long loan. The Morocco international will have a medical this morning. And that's your latest news and sport. I'll be back with more at 9 o'clock.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
We were speaking earlier on in the show to a lady from Brake, the road safety charity, that says we should have our eyes tested every 2 years, otherwise we are a danger on the road. I thought that sounded a little bit patronising. What do you think? 08459 455 555. Andy's in Hemel Hempstead. Morning, Andy.
Good morning.
Andy, what do you think?
I think 2 years is a bit harsh, but I think we should all have eye tests throughout our driving career. Simply because I went home on a Friday with fine eyesight and went to work on the Monday and couldn't actually see the piece of paper on my desk when I arrived. My eyesight is perfect distance, but I can't see anything under a metre now. But the thing is if you were stopped by the police or you did a driving test, that wouldn't be picked up at all.
So what happened to your eyes over the weekend, Andy?
Don't know. I suffer from a connected illness, which meant my eyesight deteriorated very quickly. But I understand that I'm not alone. I mean, your eyesight can deteriorate, and it can deteriorate very quickly.
So are you allowed to drive now?
Yes. I was never not allowed to drive.
And do you have to wear glasses or anything?
I wear glasses to basically see. I can't see the speedometer or the sat nav in the car without my spectacles.
Okay, so you wear glasses while you're driving?
Yeah, I can see. There's a lorry in front of me, and it's quite a distance away. I can read its registration plate. But this is one of. If you go for a driving test, I'll say, "What's the registration number on that car over there?" which is great. But if you were to give me a piece of paper and say, read that, I can't read about.
But you would be responsible enough, Andy, to recognise that you're sat in your car, you can't see your sat-nav, your speedometer, or maybe I shouldn't be driving this car until I get my eyes checked out.
I am, but I suppose everybody is.
Well, I think, Andy, we're going to move on because we've got some guests on this. I think most people would be, wouldn't they? They're sat in their car, they can't see the speedometer. Few blinks, a little rub of the eye, still can't see the speedometer. I think I'll get out of the car. I think I might go to a doctor immediately. Having your eyes tested every 2 years seems a little odd. We're talking about this because new figures out today show a quarter of drivers haven't had an eye test in the last 2 years. Road safety charity Break are now calling on drivers to get their sight tested every 2 years to make sure their vision meets legal standards and that they're not a danger to others. Neil Gregg is Director of Policy and Research at the Institute of Advanced Motorists. Neil, every 2 years it seems a little bit patronising to me.
I think it's the sort of thing you should be doing anyway for your general health. So I think there are other issues around it. There is no actual clear link. I think you're sort of coming towards this, that there's no actual clear link between poor eyesight and large numbers of crashes. We have a slight problem with this. We don't think there's any need for compulsion in terms of eye testing, because basically you'd be testing vast numbers of people, all of whom, the vast majority of whom, would have very good eyesight. So really, in terms of road safety, although it sounds like there's a problem here, it is actually a very minor problem.
And also, most people, and I'm sure there are some that won't, but most people, if you get in your car and suddenly you can't see the car in front of you, or suddenly you can't see your speedometer, am I right thinking that most people would go, hang on a second, maybe I should go and get something done about this?
Absolutely, and I think the bigger problem is probably long-term slow deterioration that comes with age. It comes to us all. I mean, I'm in a similar situation to the previous caller in that I can't see things close up, but that's been a long-term deterioration, and I wear glasses for that, but I can see long distance. So that's the sort of thing that happens to most people. But I think there are some issues around perhaps people with senile dementia who don't pick up the fact they've got bad eyesight, but then they've got other issues as well. So I think we quite like the idea of the police being able to take people's licence away very quickly, which is part of this, when we find someone with bad eyesight. But in actual fact, poor eyesight is responsible for 0.1%. It's a factor in 0.1% of crashes in the UK every year.
Well, Break made it sound much more dramatic than that. Have they changed the law yet? Because the law was, if a police officer stopped you and found out your eyesight wasn't good enough, you could get in your car and drive away. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem actually was more to do with the sort of admin side of it, contacting DVLA, taking the licence off them. That's all been really made much quicker. They can do it almost instantly now. So that is an improvement. If they do find somebody who clearly cannot see, then they can be taken off the road much, much quicker. So that's the sort of thing we welcome. But any idea of compulsory eye testing, I think, really would just be, as I say, testing people who in the vast majority of cases would have perfect vision. And it's an interesting one, because if you look at the contributory factors that police allocate for crashes, failed to look is the number one, and has been for all age groups for many, many years. Failed to look. But that isn't about can't see, it's about looking and not actually picking up what's going on around you.
Also, if we're testing if Breaker are insisting we test eyesight, then we should be testing hearing as well, shouldn't we? And response time, because all of these things are vital and all of them are prone to damage over time.
Well, yes, you could look at, and there are all sorts of complex. We did a study last year of older drivers, and what we did find was that, yes, compared to younger people, their eyesight was slightly worse, and their reaction times were slightly slower, but the majority of older people actually compensate for that by driving a bit slower and leaving bigger gaps, and they end up being a safer group on the roads. And of course, if you think about it, the worst group on our roads these days is actually young people, and the vast majority of them have got perfect eyesight. So it's more for us, it's about attitude to driving rather than eyesight as an issue.
Neil, thank you very much. Neil Gregg, Director of Policy and Research at the Institute of Advanced Motorists. Well, we've been sending out our road safety correspondent, Justin Dealey, this morning. Justin, you've been out testing people this morning.
I have indeed. You know what, Ian? The last time I had my eyes tested, I must have been about, 15 years old.
Yeah.
So we're looking at years and years and years. Yet,
many
like
years.
You, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would say my eyes are pretty good. Would you not agree?
Well, I mean, judging by some of the stuff you wear, no. But Can we get this week for tomorrow's show? I'm speaking to my production team, although they're paying scant attention. Can we get a little eye test for me and Justin to take part in tomorrow? Let's get an optician.
Don't bother, mate, because I'll just thrash you.
Oh, listen, I have got 30-30 vision.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
I've got 20-20. What's 30-30?
Well, it's 10-10 better.
Right, OK.
So can we get an eye test for tomorrow's show, please? An optician, an eye test, and Dealey, I will take you down to Chinatown if you can see it.
Yes, that'd be fantastic. Well, this morning I've been testing people. Now, as a legal requirement, motorists, they must be able to read a number plate from a distance of 20.5 metres. That is 67 feet. So what I've been doing, I've been testing motorists from 67 feet. The number plate on our radio car is LT05XAP. So we start with this man who hasn't had his eyes tested like me for quite some time.
I'll have a good go. LT05XAP.
I mean, do you think your eyes are fit for the road? Because, yes, you did get the plate, but it took you a bit of effort.
It did, yeah, exactly. And when you're driving, I suppose, you got momentary, seconds, in fact, actually, to sort of like, as you're driving along, you don't see things, and you don't get to analyse them. It's a quick split decision, yeah.
When was the last time you went for an eye test? That's the question we're asking today. Can you remember?
About a year ago.
OK, can you read that number plate for me over there?
LT05XAP.
Well done, congratulations.
Thanks.
Morning, sir. Just come out the gym. What's your name?
Michael.
How long have you been driving for, Michael?
About 4.5 years.
When was the last time you had an eye test?
I don't even remember. Probably about 14.
When you was about 14 years old. So how many years ago is that?
That's 9 years ago.
9 years ago. OK. Can you step back here for us? 67 feet away from my vehicle. Can you try and read my registration plate?
Yeah, LT05XAP.
You've done it, but do you think you're honestly fit for the road based on the fact you haven't had an eye test for so many years?
I like to think so, because I play regular sport, and I think I've got good eyesight, yeah. I'll say so. No reason to suggest I've got bad eyesight.
Well, there's no reason to suggest. Marion says, I challenge you two to get your eyes tested. It's not patronising, it's your health and safety. I frequently see blind drivers of all ages. What a lot of exclamation marks. So, if you're in a car with your kids, and if you did something wrong because of your eyesight, you'll never forgive yourself. But I won't do anything wrong with my eyesight, Marion, because my eyesight is brilliant.
Mind you, see, we're both saying our eyesight is perfect. We haven't been for a while, but what I found interesting about that report there, you got the lady in the middle. She last went for an eye test, a year ago. She got it straight away, instantly. Yep. The two men either side who hadn't been for an eye test for quite some time, they were a lot slower, weren't they? So that just kind of proves the point, surely.
Ian, you were so rude to that lady, says Jackie. I wear glasses and have my eyes checked once a year as I have an unusual blood vessel at the back of one eye. Well, that's why you get it tested. I don't have an unusual blood vessel. Eye tests can also pick up things like diabetes and high blood pressure. Billy, I get my eyes checked once every year as glaucoma runs in the family. Well, you've got a condition that runs in the family.
But how do you know you haven't got a condition? If you went for an eye test, it might be detected.
Flippin' heck.
Silly Billy.
Right, we're going to go for an eye test, and I will beat you.
No, we should go for an eye test, and I shall beat you.
Thank you very much indeed. It's Justin Daly. Peter's in Walmer Green. Morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Good morning, Peter. What's your take on this? Eye test every 2 years?
Well, I don't think you'd be able to do everybody. Because if you go to an eye clinic, they're all ages. They're not just old people. They're all ages.
Yes, young people have eyes.
Yeah, and they've got problems as well. Yep. So you can't just test one part of the population. You've got to test everybody.
Well, this is according to Break. They want every driver to be tested every 2 years. Well, it seems a little patronising to me, Peter.
It's an impossibility, isn't it? Let's face it. Can you imagine all those drivers every 2 years being tested? I mean, it's ridiculous, really.
Well, you say it's ridiculous. You'd be paying for it, Peter. You would pay for your eye test. I would pay for my eye test. No wonder the opticians want this. They would make a fortune.
They already do.
They do, don't they? I should have got into the glasses business.
Absolutely.
Do you wear glasses?
I wear glasses. I visit Moorfields once every 4 months.
Yep.
I've got a second opinion on my eyes, by the way.
Yeah, oh, yes.
You know the problems before, and I got a second opinion from my doctor, and I'm under Moorfields. My vision's pretty good.
Yes.
Only because of glaucoma, really,
yes.
you know.
I used to wear glasses
Yeah.
And sometimes I needed glasses. I look good in glasses, actually, I look cute. Sometimes I needed glasses, and sometimes I didn't need glasses. And I don't wear glasses now. Do you know what stopped, Peter?
No.
I stopped drinking. As soon as I stopped drinking and got sober, it's like, oh, hang on a second, I can see.
Well,
I can read.
Well, you avoided the double vision, haven't you?
I avoided the double vision. Peter, thank you very much indeed. It is Peter, indeed, Barry from Watford. No, it was Peter and Walmer Green. It is a little patronising, isn't it? So every 2 years, we should go and have our eyes tested. I like Break. Break do a lot of good stuff. I just think on this one, they've got it wrong. Helen says on the text, I used to work in an optician's. I lost count of the number of men, mainly, who, like you, didn't get their eyes tested for years and were unfit to drive. 3 would have qualified as blind. One man whose wife had urged him to have an eyesight test took the car keys from him after a somewhat heated discussion. Eyesight diminishes gradually over time, especially for those over 40. Actually, I had my eyes tested about 6 months ago. I went for a nice little check-up, little brain scan, little eye test, all of that kind of stuff. My eyes, the woman said there was absolutely nothing wrong with your eyes. And there was nothing wrong with my eyes 4 years ago. And my eyes are so good, I would know when my eyesight started to deteriorate. I would recognise that, and I would act on it. 08459 455 555. This is Iain Liam, BBC Three Counties Radio. Coming up in the last 15 minutes of the show, an incredible story about a young lad born without any ears. I know. It's absolutely amazing. We'll find out what that is after the latest travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Still looking quite slow round Great Milton. There's a closure at the A329 after an accident earlier. They're doing recovery work. There was an oil spill left behind as well between Tame Road in Great Milton and Chiltern View in Little Milton, just across into Oxfordshire off the M40. So traffic is being sent pretty much around that without too much trouble. Holton Village through Weston Turville, now that's been closed. An accident with a motorbike involved between Brookend in Weston Turville and Chestnut Avenue in Holton, with the road through there expected to be closed for the rest of this morning. The A1 slow to the Black Cat roundabout southbound, busy on the A1M past Junction 7 at Stevenage, and then into London, delays on the A41. Certainly there's a lane closed westbound, a burst water main, emergency repairs at Edgwarebury Lane. M25 clockwise slow into the roadworks past the A1M, a little bit busy anti-clockwise at the start of the roadworks as well, Junction 25, and anti-clockwise also queuing from Chorleywood to the M40. For the minute, public transport's not looking too bad. Trains are running well, and the tubes looking pretty decent as well. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Adam. Coming up to 8:46 on Tuesday, the 6th of August, I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Owners who allow their dogs to attack members of the public could face life in prison under a clampdown proposed by the government. The results of a review of NHS patient safety are set to be published later by President Obama's former health advisor, Professor Don Berwick. In sport, England cricket captain Alistair Cook has urged his side to go on and win the series against Australia. Coming up, we'll hear an amazing story about a young man, well, a boy who was born without ears, and how he overcame that. But first of all, let's get the weather with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. Today, a much better day of weather than we saw yesterday. It is looking dry. There will be some cloud bubbling up here and there through the afternoon, but the morning is looking pretty sunny, actually. We've got some cloud just edging into parts of Buckinghamshire at the moment, but some decent spells of sunshine even here throughout the rest of the day. And where we do get the best of the sunshine this afternoon, despite the cloud, then we're looking at temperatures up to 22 or 23 degrees Celsius. Certainly nice and pleasant in the sunshine because we've only got light winds today. So as we head through into tonight, it should stay dry, temperatures dropping to 12 or 13 degrees. As we get into tomorrow morning, then there will be much more in the way of cloud. All in all, it's a cloudier looking day tomorrow with a few scattered light showers, I think, through the afternoon. Temperatures again just hovering in the low 20s, and that's generally where they'll tend to stay for the rest of the week. It will turn a touch breezier, lots of dry weather though, the odd shower at times. That's the forecast.
If you've got a problem with a company, a council or an organisation, there's one man you should come and speak to.
You've got a problem with a mattress, I gather. Tell me all about it without naming any company name.
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
Well, every time she tried to book, the trip was cancelled because of adverse weather.
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
Just send the receipt off and you'll get the cheque in the post.
If you need our help,
I went to speak to the man that runs this golf club.
Email jvsshow@bbc.co.uk.
I'm just very pleased that you've got the money.
And we could do the same for you.
Thanks ever so much, Jonathan.
The JVS show on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, here's a story. A little boy from Hertfordshire who's born without any ears is having a pair of them created from anybody? His own ribs. Surgeons from Great Ormond Street will carve cartilage from 6 of Kieran Sorkin's ribs into the shape of ears, which will be attached during an operation next year. Well, we can speak to Kieran's mum, Louise, now. Good morning, Louise.
Good morning.
So how old is Kieran?
He's 8 years old.
He's 8 years old?
Just had his 8th birthday.
OK, well, congratulations to him for that. And he was born without ears?
Yes.
Do we know why? Is there a reason for it, or is it just one of those things?
It's just one of those things. There's no genetics. Well, there's no genetics. We can't see why it's happened. It's just a fluke that it's just happened. That's why it's so rare. I mean, there is, I believe that maybe some families that may have some sort of genetics with their ears, but we went through the whole family history on his father's side and my side, and we're absolutely fine. So you can understand how much research we had to do once he was born.
Well, these things sometimes happen, don't they?
Of course
Sometimes defects appear spontaneously sometimes. I'm going to ask a question that may be really stupid, I don't know. If he hasn't got any ears, can he hear?
Not very well.
Right.
It's, well, he's got bone as well. He's got no holes, so it's just like having your fingers permanently in your ears, so it's all rather muffly.
And so this operation, will this allow him to hear, or is this more of a cosmetic thing to give him, ears?
It's more of a cosmetic thing, so he can look human.
Right.
People can stop staring at him, because you can see that he looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like he's just a normal boy.
And does he get stared at, does he? How is he treated at school by the other kids? Because kids, as we know, can be vicious little so-and-sos, and they sniff out weaknesses and differences, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, he's at primary age. I mean, he's been at the school since he was 4, so the children have, grown up with him, so they've all accepted him. And, he has a teacher assistant that works with him, and I asked her the question, does he ever get bullied? And she actually said, I mean, this is when he was in reception and year 1, she said actually the children are very protected over him.
Good for them.
That's really lovely, but as they grow older, children are, there's older children that ask questions. He's just went to a summer scheme, and he said, I found it very hard to make friends, Mummy, because all they want to do is talk about my ears.
Oh, bless him.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Of course he doesn't.
No.
He's going to turn up at school the next term. It'll be like when a teacher turns up with a wig. You go, there's something different about him, but I can't quite... This operation is obviously pretty unusual. Do you know if it's been done before, how many times it's been done before?
Well, when I got chatting with the ear reconstruction surgeon, he's probably done about a few thousand of these cases.
Right, okay.
I think the last 10 years he's only done 8 with 2 ears missing. So that just shows how rare it is, especially in this country.
Yeah. And so when is the operation happening, Louise?
August 2014.
2014?
Yeah.
OK. And do you have to do anything in the build-up to that? Is there any treatment he's undergoing, or you're just waiting for that operation?
I'm just waiting for the operation. It's going to be exciting but very emotional at the same time, because, once the operation's finished, it's not going to be the boy I gave birth to. It's going to be the boy he always wanted to be, so...
It must be exciting though, because it's going to be it's going to take some getting used to seeing your son with ears.
Yeah.
But it's going to set him up to have such an easier ride in life, I would have thought.
I think it will give him a lot more confidence that he can just be like the rest of the children and like mum and dad and his sister.
How does he feel about the operation? Have you told him what the operation is going to entail?
Yes. He actually keeps nagging when he's going to have it done. So once Great Ormond Street gave us the date a few months ago, he is just so happy.
Yeah.
When we went to see the consultant, he actually went through all the gory details with him, lucky he's a boy.
He loved it.
He think it was great.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah.
You should ask them to make him an extra ear. So look, if you're in there getting stuff, give me one I can carry around in my pocket. Is it going to be painful? I'm assuming if they're getting cartilage, it's going to be uncomfortable, isn't it?
It's going to be uncomfortable. He's going to be at Great Ormond Street around about 5 to 6 days.
Okay.
But kids are amazing. They just bounce back than we adults.
And my little boy was in Great Ormond Street a couple of months ago. It's an amazing place, Louise. They will make him feel like a king there. So
they know how to treat the parents well.
They know how to treat the parents, the siblings, everybody. It really is just one of the best places in the world. Well, listen, Louise, thank you so much. Maybe we'll talk to you next year when it's all been done and see how things have gone on.
Okay.
It's really good news and best of luck to you and to Kieran.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Thank you very much.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
08459 455 555. Let's spend the last 5 minutes before JVS talking about bits and pieces, shall we? Dogs. Ken's in Luton. Morning, Ken.
Morning, Ian.
Morning, Ken. What's your opinion on dogs?
Who thought this blooming law up?
Oh.
Hey, one of our politicians?
What the thought that dog owners might go to prison for life if their dogs attack somebody?
So what we're saying is if you get bitten by a dog or attacked by a dog, you're going to get life imprisonment.
Yep.
If you get beat up by two thugs, put in intensive care, they get 8 months.
Right.
Get where I'm coming from?
Yep.
So...
Well, you can't compare the two, though, Ken, because yes. So if you get, the prison sentencing is wrong for sex offences and rapes and things like that, but it doesn't mean we should be campaigning to improve that as well as improving the sentencing for dog owners.
I know, but these ideas they think up, they must spend hours doing it, and they're stupid. Why don't they just muzzle dogs? The dogs bite you. So
yes,
make all dogs out in public muzzled.
Okay, Ken, that's one idea. Thank you very much. I agree. They should be. They probably should be. 08459 455 555. We spoke to someone from Break earlier on, the charity for road safety, or road safety campaigners, saying we should have our eyes tested every 2 years. I'm not convinced by that. Ray's in Luton. Morning, Ray.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Every 2 years seems a bit patronising to me.
Well. Now, what I want to say is this.
Yes.
In America, when you have your driving test, you have your photo taken.
Yep.
Little scenario. You go to the driving centre, you have your test, and he says, can you read that with or without glasses? The bloke puts his glasses on, he reads the number plate. Yeah, fine. He can take his glasses off when he passed his driving test and throw them away. You should have your photo taken when you have your driving test, which stipulates you wearing glasses or not wearing glasses.
Some people don't look good in glasses, though, Ray.
Well, no, that's not the point. No. Let me give you a little scenario. I had my eyes tested a month ago. I'm 80. I had my eyes tested a month ago. Last night, my glasses broke. So, luckily enough, I've got my old glasses, so I can use them. But if I hadn't, my wife's got 2 appointments today at the hospital, so I would have drove without glasses.
Well, you shouldn't have driven without glasses.
No,
that's irresponsible of you.
This is what I'm saying. This is what people are doing. People are driving without glasses.
Well, you should go to prison if you were driving without glasses,
no, you're
Ray.
Not listening to me, Ian.
Sorry?
People are driving without glasses who should be wearing glasses.
They should go to prison. They shouldn't be allowed to drive.
Well, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And you were going to do that?
Oh, no, because I've got my old glasses.
Right, but if you hadn't have had your old glasses...
Well, yeah, I would have had
Well, then you should lose your licence, Ray, go to prison.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't have gas bills to pay, would I?
Well, there you go, you see. There's always a bright side there. It's Dina's karma. You wouldn't have gas bills to pay, would you? There you go. Listen, dear listener, we do a weekly podcast, and I've just got the stats through, and boy, are they good. They are excellent. They could be better. And do you know how they could be better? By you going and downloading the podcast. If you go to... You can get it from 2 ways. You can go to iTunes and type in Iain Lee, Iain, Lee, If you type in Iain Lee BBC, it pops up. And a way of helping us up the iTunes chart, I know, isn't this cold and shallow? If you leave nice reviews, if you leave some nice comments, we might read some of the comments out on air if they're clean. You can also go to the BBC Three Counties page, and if you follow the podcast link there, you can download it from there. And it's kind of like the best bits of the week. Lots of callers, lots of me arguing with Justin Dealey, a little bit of bullying of Catherine Boyle, a little bit of straight stuff in there, although I think most of this week's is just me messing around. I don't know. Anyway, it's weekly, it comes out every Friday. They only stay online for 30 days. So if you're thinking, I'll get them all at the end of the year, good luck with that. You'll have to go to the dark web and find an illegal bootleg trader. So if you want to download the podcast, type in Iain Lee on iTunes or go to the Three Counties page and follow the link for podcast, and you can download it there. It comes out every Friday. Right, that's it. Let's get the travel now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
First Capital Connect, 15-minute delays, Moorgate through to Stevenage, Welwyn Garden City and Gordon Hill. They had a broken down train. No estimate for when things will be sorted through there. Virgin, 15-minute delays, Euston to Rugby, a signalling problem between Milton Keynes and Rugby. Victoria Line Tube, severe delays. Trains are not currently stopping at King's Cross St Pancras after an incident through there earlier this morning. The A329 in Great Milton still shut after an accident between Tame Road and Chiltern View. Holton Village in Western Turville. This is closed following an accident with a motorbike involved between Brook End in Western Turville and Chestnut Avenue in Holton. The A418 in Aylesbury looking slow at Elmhurst Road. Queues on the A355 in Beaconsfield from Longbottom Lane to the A40. Then A1 delays. First off the Black Cat roundabout is slow, then southbound past Stevenage. Into London the A41, a burst water main westbound in Edgware at Edgware-Bury Lane. The M25 slow anti-clockwise past the roadworks. And from Chorleywood to the M40. Adam Glynn, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Adam. That's it, that's your lot. If you want to send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. JVS is coming up next. From me until tomorrow. Ta-ta.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Tuesday, and on today's Big Phone In.